evening. This is the May 13th, 2025 meeting of the Hendersonville Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Thank you all for joining us. We are going to begin as we typically do, and that's with a prayer and pledge. And tonight, providing our opening prayer is Jason Klein. He's the Men's and Community Outreach Pastor and Chaplain for Indian Lake Peninsula Church. Jason, we appreciate very much. You are very active in the community, not just in church, but in many other capacities. I appreciate what you and what your church does for our community.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting me be here. Let's pray. God, I just want to say thank you for bringing us here tonight. I want to thank you for Hendersonville, Tennessee. Lord, I, amongst all these people in here, love living here, Lord, and we thank you for bringing us here. Lord, I thank you for our leaders. Thank you for their time and all they do. I pray that you'd give them wisdom, God, in all the decisions that need to be made, wisdom in what to do and what not to do. I thank you, God, for all the people who protect us in this community, keep us safe. Lord, for all the people that serve us in this community and help us through the hard times, the good times, Lord. Thank you that we can always depend on these people to be there. And I pray you'd bless all of them and all the leaders too and their families as well. God, I just thank you for all the students that are here for another school year. And Lord, how you've worked in these kids' lives and what you're going to do in them as they take the next step. So God, I can pray for this community. Lord, that you just continue to use it to make a difference here and elsewhere in the nation. God, just thank you for how Hendersonville is looked upon and respected all throughout the state and the country, Lord. We just thank you for that. But Lord, just be with us tonight and all the things that's got to be done. Lord, that everything will be done in a way that pleases you. Give us a great night, a great week. In him I pray. Amen.
Thank you. And again, that's Jason Klein with Indian Lake Peninsula Church. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Appreciate that. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion to accept the agenda. We have a motion from Alderman Goodwin, a second from Alderman Dixon. I need you all to acknowledge that we're waiving the 2-week rule under item 1 under ordinance and resolutions. That's our budget. We don't have to vote on that specifically, but just want to point that out. Any other discussion on the agenda? All those in favor of approving the agenda that was provided to you a couple days ago in your packet, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we're on presentations and a couple cool things to get to do here. Let's see, let's start with Beach High School. If the sponsors could join me right up here.
Hi there, I'm the student council sponsor for Beach High School, and I have our senior student council members with us tonight. My name is Lucy Alegria, and the president is Braden Cole. Come on up, Braden. Lizzie Shipley, VP of Marketing. Greer Huffine, VP of Management and Engagement. Carly Andrews, our liaison to the other classmen. Reese Mitchell, our school spirit chair, and Cody Wilson, our senior class president. Cuties, great, thank you.
So y'all can come on back. Thank y'all. And Christy LaPointe, I have to think about what her last name is for the past 30 years, sorry. And Station Camp. Oh, go ahead.
I'm Daphne Coomer at Station Camp. I'm here with Christy LaPointe, my co-sponsor. We've got 3 of our students here with us tonight. Molly Rector was our freshman class president this year, along with Courtney Young was her vice president this year. And then we've got our sophomore class president, Emma Ketchum, here with us this evening.
Awesome. JP2.
Hi, I'm Janie Turf, and I am the Student Activities Director at JP2, and I have our upcoming senior presidents of our house system from the House of Clement, Hudson Nitch, from the House of Gregory, Emery Langlois, from the House of Peter, Mikey Mosesman, from the House of Pius, Maya Briggs, our school vice president from the House of Leo, McKay Delaney, and from our school president for next year from the House of John, Ethan Jacob.
And then we have Hendersonville High School.
Hi, I'm Lisa Ball, and Amanda Cardinara serve as the student council sponsors at Hendersonville High School. Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to our team. Our president of the student body is currently playing a soccer game against Hillsborough High School, so he's not here tonight. But Valentina Galagas Oliveras, she's our vice president. Olivia Howden is our secretary. And Lucy Miller is our treasurer.
And Hendersonville Christian Academy.
Good evening, I'm John Valentin, Student Life Director at Hendersonville Christian Academy. We have two of our student council members with us tonight, our president, Nathan Snyder, and our vice president, Nate Love, our chaplain and secretary, unable to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. As I explained with our middle school class officers, I think it's important that we recognize these students because they're not just doing work in their schools, but also in the community. And we absolutely have an obligation to recognize the leaders that we have that may replace us someday and give them some encouragement and give them a taste of what the possibilities are. So we appreciate y'all being here so much. So thank you. Next, we have a proclamation for some of our employees. Whereas the following employees are observing service anniversaries with the City of Hendersonville for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 35 years, and whereas the city appreciates their commitment to the betterment of our city, I, Jamie Clary, Mayor of the City of Hendersonville, would like to commend the following individuals for their dedication. 5 years, Freddie Morgan, Jessica Cunningham, Christopher Chandler, Nicholas Hafner, Zachary King, Sharday Robinson, Jason Hollers, who's right there. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is, okay. I thought I saw him over there. Thank you, Jason. Additional 5-year people are Dylan Jordan, Robert Wilkins, William Knight, Matthew Nelms, Sarah Ulake, Michael Armale, Angelique Early, Stephen Goodwin, Thomas Binkley, Julius Edwards, Holly Bird, and Richard Mikulek. Thank you. In 10 years, Greg Story, William Hart, Caleb Paul, Corey Shelton, Andrew Holliday, David Brigance. Is David here? There he is. Perfect. Mason Stidham, John Newberry, Matthew Sigmund. Raymond Bolton and Sarah Locke. Here we go. Our 15 years, Russell Judkins, Christopher Williard, Eric Freeman, Philip Samatsko, Timothy Denning, Thomas Holman, Betsy Mullins, and William Burkett. Oh, William Burkett. That's for Trace. Okay. Okay, yeah. 20 years, Debbie Trisdale. Where is Debbie? She was right here. There we go. Thank you, Debbie. Stephen Ryan. Steve, congratulations. Thank you. David Osborne, Timothy Smith, Seneca Smith, Neil Harris. There he is. Thank you. Thank you, Lieutenant. Sharon Kirker and Lauren Purdue, 25 years. Troy Bishop, Brian Boyer. Yep. Troy, thank you. Also, Michael Brown is a 25-year employee. And then 35 years who couldn't be here, Terry Smith. He is on duty right now. Appreciate you all very, very much. We're going to get a picture. As I tell folks when they join us, I hope you stay a long, long time. Y'all are either on the way or you've already done that. So I appreciate y'all very much. Everything good?
Thank you. They're studying for an AP exam.
I'm going to entertain a motion that we approve the minutes that were provided to you in your packet from April 22nd, 2025. We have a motion from Alderman Bergdorf and a second from Alderman Ward. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes that were provided to you from our April 22nd meeting, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next round of citizen comments. Speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Public comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per person, which time is not transferable to other speakers. All comments are to be directed to the presiding officer, that's me, not to the alderman, city staff, or other members of the public. Comments must address issues, not individuals or personalities. Personal attacks shall not be tolerated. Comments may support or oppose particular issues or measures, but the motives of those with different views shall not be questioned or attacked. Malicious comments will not be allowed. Speeches for or against particular candidates running for public office will not be allowed. Charlena Allmiller, Ruland Circle.
Hi, I'm Charlena Allmiller, and I live at 143 Ruland Circle. I've looked through the budget, and I have some questions. First, I noticed that some positions changed their reporting department again this year. I notice that happens a lot. In accounting, such constant changes really undermine the comparability of numbers from year over year. Since the changes seem to happen frequently to the executive department's salary, I'm just curious, is this intentional to make the year-over-year comparisons actually non-comparable by removing the positions included in the executive department to make it appear like those costs have decreased or not increased as much? Do the salary numbers in the executive department schedule on page 29 include the same people's salaries in this budget year as it did last year? If it doesn't, why doesn't it? Even if you want to shift positions to a different department, the schedule should still show the people's salaries in the departments as if they had stayed, so the cost from this year in the budget can be compared to last year's. The salary schedules are not transparent when they play the shell game of salaries to provide the illusion that executive salaries or other department salaries have decreased when they have actually increased. Please be more transparent and revise the salary schedules to show the same people's salaries in all the departments that were in there last year and the year before. My second question is a repeat of one that I've asked before, but I'll elaborate upon it. I recently attended a meeting this past Saturday where the mayor was as well. The state legislators were talking about the budget. One representative discussed how the budget has increased since 2018 from approximately $39 billion to $59.8 billion. He said that it is estimated approximately $12 billion of the $21 billion increase since 2018 is attributable to inflation. That is 57% of the increase to the budget at the state level is inflationary. Using the Bureau of Labor Statistics numbers, you would need $1.25 today to buy the same as $1 could buy in 2019. That is nationally, there has been a 25% change in prices since the budget before COVID. But there has not been a corresponding 25%, and certainly not a 57% raise to salaries in the city. We cannot get 2019 level of quality of services at 2019 prices anymore. Yet, that is what you're expecting when you deny raises to all employees. Police aren't the only ones who have experienced inflation. We don't need a property tax increase to be able to provide the 10% raises for the remainder of the city employees who have received only a 1% cost of living adjustment in March. If you select scenario number 3 from the 5 options that were provided at the budget workshop, you will have a deficit, but you can pull that from the unassigned fund balance. I've looked at the state procedures for budget, and it is allowed. Page 17 of the budget shows an $8 million deficit when you add in the capital expenditures. But there was no deficit before that, except in the previous budget, 2 weeks ago, it showed that after the budget for the police, it was $800,000. So we didn't even have the budget then, but we found a way. And I don't want a separate trash service fee that will increase my payments to the government by about 40%. You already got a tax increase with the sales tax referendum. I was here about a month ago asking about the campaign promises around that sales tax referendum. The mayor posted in my neighborhood Facebook group on February 16, 2024, and it says, when I recently hosted new residents for informal classes about Hendersonville, several people asked questions about the March 5th referendum to increase the city sales tax. As the city prepares to set a budget for next year, the aldermen and I are trying to be fully transparent that inflation has forced us to consider unpleasant options. First, we can reduce services significantly impacting fire and police, departments that make up 71% of the city staff. Second, residents could vote to increase the city sales tax by half a penny. On average, household will pay $74 more per year and generate $9 million specifically for paving, parks, public safety, and infrastructure. Third, the city board could raise property taxes. To generate $9 million, the average household would pay $277 more per year. Then there are a series of links to the budget and the annual report, and it says, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email at mayor@hvilletn.org. I have questions, and they have not yet been answered. Were we lied to? Why wasn't this $9 million enough
30 seconds.
for the salary increases, which are much less than $9 million? I would like an answer to this question, and I don't think that I should have to email in order to get it. According to page, all the budget is there. We have the funds to pay our people. That is what we increased the sales tax for. Please pay our people, or else we will find people who will do it at the next election. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. Next is Dale Payne, Civil Drive.
Hello, Mayor, Alderman. I'm coming to this evening to speak up for our firemen. I'm Dale Payne from 230 Civil Drive. I've been a resident here since 1986. Owner of Sumner Roofing Company, and in the roofing and construction business, we've had to call the fire department a couple times. For us, one time on 4/20 of 2018, my crew and I was in need of their emergency services where a roof exploded on us and we was severely burnt. Police arrived first there after the explosion because they seen it on Gallatin Road. Our fire department arrived there quickly. First fireman to me was Daniel Bosbaugh. I didn't know Daniel before the time that happened. He reached out to me on Facebook afterwards and we still talk. I think that was a really nice gesture for him to reach out. Once I was in the ambulance, I could overhear a discussion, and it was our chief, Scotty Bush, said he was driving the ambulance to Vanderbilt. This this says a lot about Scotty Bush. You don't always see a fire chief that'll jump in there and drive the ambulance or somebody to the hospital to get you there quickly, and he did. I appreciate that, Scotty. We got to Vanderbilt. Back doors opened. It was Chief Bush there, ensuring me that everything was going to be okay. I was in great care. Without that quick response from them firemen, I don't know where I'd be today. But it was great. Hearing Scotty Bush tell me that everything was going to be okay, that meant a lot to me. I was 45% burnt, and at that time, I really didn't know what was going on. After a couple days in the burn unit, Paul Vrabel came in to check on me and do his report. He sat and talked to me for a long time. Like, I was his only concern that day, and I know he had a lot of stuff to do, but again, there was another fireman went out of his way. After a couple weeks in the hospital, I returned home, only to have a couple visitors come check on me. It was, again, Chief Bush and Fireman Gabe Hanna showed up at my door. And that was really touching. You know, they're going out of their way for people in our community. In addition to their visits, I have received phone calls from other firemen. It was another very nice way to them to communicate with somebody in the community. It also made my family feel real good that you had, you know, firemen showing up at your doorstep to check on you. These men and women serve our community unselfishly. They respond to our needs quickly and professionally. I ask that our elected board of mayor and aldermen do the same and respond quickly, professionally, and get these firemen paid what they're worth. You know, if you're a fireman today, you can't even afford to live in Hendersonville. It's a shame. So I just ask y'all to please do what you can to get their pay up so that we can keep them around for us. Okay, thank y'all.
Dale, thank you. Next, we've got Brenda. We've got Brenda Allen, Township Drive.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda Allen. I live at 216 Township Drive. I grew up here, and I raised 2 sons and 2 grandchildren here. 4 of our great-grands were born here, and during that time, we've had occasion to call the fire department several times. But it's one day on a snowy February in 2021 that I'd like to tell you about. We had about 6 inches of snow accumulated. My husband decided that he was going to go to Kroger's to get our allotment of bread and milk because we were out. So he headed to Kroger's, which is about a mile from our house. He'd been gone a lot longer than I thought he should have been, so I started getting worried, and I started calling him on the phone. I did not get an answer. So I headed out the door, and while I was going out the door, I got a phone call from Hendersonville Hospital asking me to come to the emergency room. She told me that there would be a nurse waiting for me when I got there, and there was a policeman in my driveway to take me there. The policeman got me in the car, and I asked him about my husband. He said he did not know that my husband had had an episode when he was at Kroger's, and he'd been asked to come and get me. When I got there, I was handed off to the nurse waiting at the door, and 3 other nurses in turn. And all of them said, your husband had an episode at Kroger's. Finally, one of them did tell me that he was alive, which I was questioning all the time. The doctor finally came in and told me that my husband, Johnny's heart had stopped beating, and that he had to be shot 3 times to get his pulse back. He told me that I should go home, get some rest, and come back at 7 o'clock the next morning. So I did. I came back at 7 o'clock the next morning, and the cardiologist that was called had already done the procedures on him. So I missed getting to talk to him, but he did come and talk to me. Dr. Russo came out and told me that everything went fine, Johnny was fine, everything was okay. However, there was something that concerned him, and that was that he found nothing wrong with him. He didn't have a blockage, he didn't have a heart attack, and there was no reason for him to have his heart to have stopped beating. He said sometimes the planets line up and strange things happen. So they kept him in the hospital for a couple of days and transferred him to Centennial, where 4 other heart specialists were called in to look at him. Again, none of them found anything wrong with him. They would say they were puzzled, he was a walking miracle, and he had the firemen to thank for that. Because his heart had suddenly stopped beating, all of his organs stopped at the same time, and that the only way to get him back was to shock him, that no amount of CPR would have done anything. On the last day of his 6-day stay at Centennial, they put a pacemaker and a defibrillator in just in case something happened again, which it has not. While he was in Centennial, I reached out on social media to find out to see what I could find out about what happened, because we were still in limbo. A very sweet nurse responded to me by the name of Karen, and she said she was standing there with him when he collapsed and started CPR on him. Then 2 firemen arrived, she said, very quickly, and they started working with him. They shocked him 3 times on the way to the hospital and finally got a pulse back. Scotty Bush reached out to me and gave me the name of Mike Scudder and Hal Scarborough, and they're here tonight. We've known Mike since he was a child, but because Mike was doing the job he was supposed to be doing, he did not know whose life he was saving. So the long and short of the story is, my husband Johnny did not die on February 18th, 2021, and God sent 3 angels, Karen Winkler, Mike Scudder, and Hal Scarborough, to bring him back to us. So let me tell you what didn't happen. I am not a widow. Our sons and grandsons did not have to carry their stepfather and pawpaw to their grave. I didn't have to watch as the flag that was draped on his casket was folded and handed to me. There was no 21-gun salute, and I didn't have to hear taps played. We didn't have to watch as the casket was lowered in the ground and dirt shoveled over it. One day this will happen, but God decided it was not that day. Because of Mike and Hal, Johnny has been able to see 2 more grandsons get married and 3 more great-grands born. He was also able to be with me when my mother died, and a few years later when my brother died. The doctors continue to tell us that he's a lucky man. He's a walking miracle and he should not be here right now. They also tell us that every time we see those firemen, Hal and Mike, we should tell them thank you. They're from Station 5. Our story is one of many, and some don't get the same ending that we get. So we're here tonight to beg you and to plead with you to please give them the raise that they're due. Give them the honor and respect that they are due and the money they're worthy of. Thank you.
Ms. Brenda, thank you. Brian Stewart, Robert in court? Something like that. Okay. Okay.
How do I follow that? Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I don't even know what I need to say now. That's, yeah. So I'm Brian Stewart. I am at 1012 Robarton Court. Coming to you tonight not only as a citizen of Hendersonville, but also as a business owner. I own One Stop Realty and Auction here in town. And my business is real estate, obviously. And it's what I know. And what I do know is that people come to Hendersonville and Sumner County for 2 reasons that I see more than anybody and more often than not. That's safety and education. The safety is a huge aspect of people choosing to live here over Davidson County and other surrounding counties as well. What I see is that they want to feel safe in their homes. They want to have great educations for their children. But whenever their children are not at school, or whenever they are in school, or they're out doing their daily routine in life, they want to know that they're protected. They want to know they're taken care of. If the bad things happen, which life always happens, and things are going to happen like that, they want to know that they have a quick first responder there to help out in that situation that's been properly trained and is educated on what to do in that instance of emergency. And I know, looking behind us, I'm the only person in here that didn't wear red tonight for whatever reason. But I want to say, and I'm in favor of all these men and women that put their lives on the lines every day to protect us, protect my business, and to give us the safety and the peace of mind that we have to live in this great city of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Whenever I look around as a citizen, as a business owner, I see what a city is made of. I see what a community is. I see what our county is made of. And it, first and foremost, are these guys and these women that are behind us wearing the red and the blue for that matter. They are the ones that put their lives on the lines to make it happen for us. So I feel like we should, in return, give them the proper due that they deserve. They are in need of a raise. And I can say as a real estate expert that it is hard for our firefighters to afford to live in Hendersonville. And what's happening is we are losing them to other counties because the pay is better there, or the cost of living is less expensive. So we need to step up. The board of mayor aldermen needs to step up and say, hey, we want to keep all these people here and not let them get away from us and have to go through the whole training cycle again, have to start over from the beginning, and bring in all these new people when we have them here already. They're ready, willing, and able to do the job that they do every day. And all they're asking in return is just to have the money to be able to live in the city, in the county that they properly protect every day. And I can tell you as a former county commissioner, I know how hard it is to vote on a group basis and to have different areas coming at you all the time, and you're having to make these decisions that affect large groups of people. It's not easy. I know it's not easy. But I think you guys and gals here are very well-respected BOMA here. I think you have an opportunity to do something great, and that's to give these men and women what they deserve, keep them in our county, and keep Hendersonville safe like it always should be. Thank you.
Brian, thank you. Randy Martin, English Court.
My name's Randy Martin, and I live at 101 English Court, and I'd like to start just by telling you a little bit about myself so you know where I'm coming from. I was hired by Metro Nashville Police Department in 1984. Once I completed the training academy, I was assigned to patrol. I worked in patrol division for 10 years. 1994, I was transferred to the traffic division where I was a motor officer working traffic enforcement for 10 years. In 2004, I transferred to specialized investigations where I was a narcotics investigator for 10 years, retired in 2014. I left there. I was a contract employee for the U.S. Marshal Service in 2015. And in May of 2015, I was hired as a criminal investigator by the district attorney with the 20th Judicial District, where I'm still employed today. And I'm here today to speak to you concerning the pay disparity between the police and the fire department. I believe the mayor and the alderman's first responsibility is to the constituents and to provide a safe and healthy environment to allow the community to thrive. It appears you guys have done just the opposite. The board is attempting to divide our first responders. You're pitting the police against the fire. And this is not right. This is not something that should be done. I think our community deserves more of that, and part of your job is to bring them back together. Keep them as a team. You don't want to divide your emergency services. Mr. Mayor, while you were running for office, the very first time you stopped by my house, we stood on my front stoop, and I don't expect you to remember this, but we stood on my front stoop for about 30 minutes. And you ensured me that our public employees and our emergency service employees were at the top of your list. And you were so convincing that day, I did something I'd never done. I volunteered to work for your campaign. And the day you were elected, I recall us wearing these red shirts. I was standing out front of Indian Lake Elementary. You came by, and I've got the photograph of it. I think you need to reflect back to those times and reflect on what you ran on and what you told the people you would do when you were elected. And all I'm asking is for you to follow your promises and put these guys back together. give the fire department what they deserve so they can afford to live in this county. I know the starting pay is somewhere around $50,000, and even if you have a spouse making $50,000, you're not going to buy a house in Hendersonville, Tennessee. So we've got these guys protecting us and serving us that can't even be our next door neighbors. We need to change that. I just ask you to bring them up to where they need to be, and it needs to be done as soon as possible. Thank you for your time.
Randy, thank you. Matthew Sigmund, West Main Street.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Sigmund, 242 West Main Street. I am the president of the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge 63 here in Hendersonville. Tonight, I'm here to present a cost-saving, health-enhancing opportunity for our city. For once, I'm not asking for any money. And trust me, you're going to want to listen to this one, all right? So it's a program that requires no budget increase, all right? No extra cost to employees, all right, and comes with full IRS, HIPAA, and ERISA compliance. All right, so now that I've got all of your attention, we're speaking about healthcare, all right? So healthcare today is expensive. It's hard to access, hard to understand, and for many, hard to afford. I'm constantly asking my wife, what does this mean? What does that mean? Because I don't understand healthcare like I don't understand algebra. Many of us have stayed in the National Guard or Reserves just to keep our healthcare options alive, and that shouldn't be necessary for many employees. At the same time, the city continues to spend heavily on payroll taxes and insurance without seeing significant returns in employee health outcomes or satisfaction. I know we're thinking about changing to a different healthcare program, but this supplements that one as well. We'd like the city to consider a wellness benefit program that brings 24/7 virtual urgent care, which many of us lost in the past changing, primary care and mental health therapy, weight loss support, and over 1,000 prescriptions at no cost. And again, this comes at no cost to employees, and it doesn't replace the current coverage. It adds to it and is once again fully compliant with all federal health regulations. The city saves money by changing how these benefits are taxed and reimbursed. It's creative accounting, the good kind, not the kind that I'm investigating. With 340 eligible employees, this program could save the city of Hendersonville nearly $380,000 per year in payroll tax liability without cutting a single service, benefit, or position. Employees may also see a small increase in take-home pay. That's all city employees, not just police. Implementing this program would show that the city is serious about supporting employee health and well-being, helping police, fire, parks, and all city employees thrive, and being smart with taxpayer dollars. This is already working for cities, schools, and businesses across the country. Now it's our turn to benefit without the fighting. I'm asking for serious consideration and a report back to the FOP Lodge 63 after the city speaks with them on this program and why you don't want to save money if you don't consider it. Let them show you the numbers and how it works, how the compliance is built in, and how the savings stack up. Because when a union comes to you with a plan to save money, well, let's just say it doesn't come across every day. All right, so remember, over $380,000 a year in city savings without cutting a single benefit or position. No cost to the city or its employees. It's all funded by smart use of federal tax codes. Extra health benefits for every employee, which is urgent care, mental health, prescriptions, and more. And no changes to existing insurances or new insurance that we may switch to. This adds to what we already have, not replaces it. Thank you.
Thank you, Detective, thank you. Donna Swift, Crutcher Station Drive.
Hi, I'm Donna Swift, 1012 Crutcher Station Drive. Mr. Mayor, as a 27-year resident of Hendersonville and a property manager of a senior living facility, I'm honored to express my deepest appreciation to the Hendersonville Fire Department. We are fortunate to have a great police and fire department that works tirelessly to keep our citizens safe. I want to take a moment to highlight the exceptional service provided by the fire department personnel, particularly in their interaction with our senior residents. They go above and beyond to ensure our residents are prepared in case of an emergency. We schedule and conduct random fire drills at our facility, which not only helps our residents know what to do in case of an emergency, but also provides the fire department valuable knowledge of our facility. After each drill, they take the time to answer questions and address concerns that our residents may have. What impresses me the most about the fire department is their compassion and dedication to our seniors. They wear many hats, providing emotional support, listening to their concerns, and offering encouragement. I have witnessed this firsthand, and it's truly remarkable. When our prior property manager experienced an emergency situation, Chief Bush personally called me to ensure I could quickly contact that family to get them to the hospital. This level of compassion and care is a testament to the fire department and their commitment to our community. I have also had the pleasure of reaching out to the fire department with questions about safety, and they've always been patient and helpful. They take the time to answer my questions, no matter how trivial they may be, and provide guidance on how to ensure our facility is as safe as possible.
Donna, can you hold on one second?
Yeah, we've got plenty here today.
So Donna, I stopped the clock up here, so ignore that up there. So whenever you feel like you can.
Okay. In my opinion, the Hendersonville Fire Department embodies the true meaning of public service. They demonstrate compassion, empathy, and genuine commitment to the well-being of our citizens. I am grateful for their service and believe they deserve our support and our recognition and a pay raise. They earn it, and I am proud to express my appreciation for all that they do for us. Thank you.
Donna, thank you. Kimberly Overton, Glen Oak Court.
Thank you, Mayor Clary. Good evening, Aldermen. Kimberly Overton, 104 Glen Oak Court West. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again tonight. I won't be regurgitating the same points that I have made ad nauseum. You already know where I stand. Instead, I wanted to tell you why I stand the way that I do. 2 days ago, I lost my father. And while grief is fresh and heavy on my heart, it also brings clarity. If anyone has ever wondered where I get my fire from, well, let's just say that I come by it honestly. It's no surprise that advocacy would become such a big part of my life's work. I come from a long line of rabble-rousers and proud supporters of first responders who know that true loyalty means fighting for what's right, not what's easy. So I just wanted to share this story with you today. In the spring and summer of 1981, my family and our neighbors in East Boston, Massachusetts, became part of a defining moment in local history. A grassroots movement led by ordinary people who refused to let their community be abandoned. When then Mayor Kevin White made devastating budget cuts that threatened to shut down all but one fire station in East Boston and close down our local police station 7, residents didn't just grumble and accept it. They fought back. For 55 straight days and nights, our community took to the streets in protest. We occupied Station 7. We gathered at the entrances of tunnels and bridges to prove a point. If you cut off access to emergency services, you cut off lives. Even the police stood with the people because they understood what was at stake. Now, looking back at it now, I don't know if I agree with every tactic that was taken at that time, but it becomes difficult to argue the necessity of using them because we won. Station 7 remains open to this day because everyday citizens made their voices impossible to ignore. I was there. I was just a little girl, but already learning what it meant to stand for something. I remember the energy, the urgency, and the unity. I remember standing beside my dad as he elevated his voice, not just for our family, but for everyone's. So when I speak up for our first responders, for their safety, their dignity, and the resources that they need, it's not political to me, it is personal. I carry the blood of a man who taught me to speak truth even when it's hard, to stand tall even when you're standing alone, and to never underestimate what a community can do when it refuses to back down. And that brings me to something I would be remiss not to mention, and something that I will never forget. In late May of 2023, the Hendersonville Fire Department responded to an emergency call from my father. Their swift, skilled, and compassionate response quite literally gave us the gift of time. Because of them, I was able to share 2 more beautiful years with my dad. Years filled with laughter, memories, healing, and love. And I'll never be able to fully express my gratitude for that. But please know that it means everything to me and my family. And we need that same spirit right now in this moment. Because this isn't just about one department or one issue. It's about showing up for all of our first responders, our firefighters, our EMS, our law enforcement, those who run toward danger when the rest of us run away. We need to rally together, just like my community did in 1981. We need to make our voices heard, not just mine, not just yours, but our collective voice. Support our first responders. Speak up, show up, share their stories, make the calls, and send the emails. Remind those in power that we are paying attention and we will not sit quietly while the people who protect us are left behind. Tonight, I'm asking you to take real action. Honor the intent and the integrity of Ordinance 2004-24 by approving a 10% salary increase for Hendersonville Fire Department personnel. Not in the form of a one-time bonus, but as a permanent correction to the pay disparity that has been created. The city has the resources and the ability to do it, and it can be done without the burden of a tax increase. Please prioritize our first responders, not just because they've earned it, but because it is the right thing to do. As a community, we can stand together and we can make a difference. For myself, I can assure you that I will keep showing up and speaking out. Because if there's one thing that my daddy taught me, it's that sometimes raising a little hell and flipping some tables isn't just necessary, it's holy work.
Kimberly, 30 seconds.
I'll spend the rest of my days trying to make him proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kimberly. Larry Bond, Lake Terrace Drive.
Sorry, I'm the slow one tonight. Good evening, Mayor Clary and Alderman Board. My name is Larry Bond, and I reside at 273 Lake Terrace Drive in the 4th Ward. I am here to address the ongoing flooding issues in my neighborhood and the lack of manpower for overtime and funding at the fire station. For over 30 years, residents in my neighborhood have been left ignored and misled by the city after it did not properly label floodplains and wetlands on plotting maps on where homes stand today. 3 years ago, I reached out to the senior advisor with the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, or TDEC, as most of you know. He had his inspectors come out to the 4th Ward, and as expected, the surveying they did uncover the city was in the wrong and that issues with standing stormwater had to be corrected properly. The inspectors, while surveying, could not believe there were no corrective actions in place around the neighborhood. To this day, none of that has been corrected. And what's made matters worse, forcing residents to be on pins and needles every time there's a rainstorm. Instead of properly correcting the problem, Hendersonville continues to just kick the can down the road, and leadership continues to just say, well, we have a home flagged, and when the property sells, we will make a permanent drains around it. The city collects millions of dollars annually in storm water collection fees from all homeowners, but yet there's nothing to show for it in our ward. In the past, the city's only plan in place was having a water pump used only in daylight hours on demand, with the fire department responsible with that operation. That was not effective. Taking time up was set up and tear down each time, and tying up responsible resources where they could be put to better use. This inconvenience set up and blocked the street in both directions and never worked because water levels would always remain elevated. Leadership has told us when we had concerns to call the fire chief and they would come out with the pump and send the water back in the lake. This plan of action has not done any good but poach resources from the fire department. My neighbors continue to have trees fall, and I have had a tree fall in my dining room from it permanently sitting in 2 to 3 feet deep of permanent stormwater. What's going to be next? A tree falling down in my living room or bedroom? I have felt better stationed in the Middle East on duty. Through no fault of his own, in the past year, I started being told by the fire chief that he no longer had the manpower or the overtime left in the budget to send a truck out with personnel. This has caused a pump to sit idle and not be manned while we suffer thousands of dollars in property damages, and residents are now exposed to high levels of raw sewage bacteria from lack of attention and accumulation. The last thing any resident should have to do is call a fire chief to raise their concerns and plead for their help. That is not our lane. In the month of April, with the record rainfall, we ended up with flooding that caused water intrusion in our homes. All of our communications to City Hall went unresponsive, and we suffered the consequences of being ghosted. As a retired veteran, I have now over $60,000 of damage to my property. Who's going to pay that back? The lack of attention is now having us exposed to biohazardous conditions that are only found in third world countries, and we are no longer able to enjoy our yards. On an alarming note, residents and business owners should be asking the hard questions of the low staffing levels of our fire department across the city and wonder what will happen if we are hit with a natural disaster and the commanding officers do not have at a minimum the response levels for rescue response. I believe the city has bit more than they can chew, and a pause in all future growth needs to be done now. We have more than enough box stores, chicken joints, and Starbucks in place. One of the key aspects of leadership is decision-making, often involving tough decisions. Fix what you have and take care of your responsibilities for resident safety. Thank you.
Larry, thank you. Next we have Cody Sharman, Albion Circle.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I was here last month to connect a face to the work your fire department does. I came back here tonight to tell you my whole story. My name is Cody Sharman. I live at 495 Albion Circle. On October 26, 2011, I was involved in a motorcycle accident on 386 eastbound, right before the New Shackle Island Road exit. As I said before, the accident nearly cut me in half. The cable catch systems were very new at the time. Hendersonville Engine 5 responded and had to search for me. I had been thrown into the median in between the highways, and it was dark that night. I was located, and a firefighter came to my aid. He cleaned and covered my wound, started an IV line, and started talking to me to keep me conscious. He prepped me for transport and assisted loading me into the ambulance when it arrived. That was really all. He did his job. The rest of the story is why I'm here tonight. That firefighter then checked my phone, wallet, and personal items that were still at the crash scene. He determined I had a baby on the way. He saw that I had a Hawaii driver's license, a Staff Sergeant Marine Corps ID, and a Hawaii license plate on my motor vehicle. He determined that I had to be a Marine Corps recruiter. He wondered if a recruiter who had just moved here from Hawaii might not have much family or support system around here. So at 7 a.m. the next morning, at the end of his shift, he drove straight to the Rivergate recruiting office and asked if Cody Sharman worked there. And then he asked if I was still alive. His next stop was Vanderbilt Hospital, where I was still in surgery. He entered the waiting room for the surgical unit I was still in, and he asked, "Is anyone here for Cody Sharman?" A single man stood up, and that man was my father. He had driven all through the night from Arkansas. And the reason I know all these facts is because Steve Ryan then exchanged information with my father. He continued to check on my condition, and when I was well enough, he came to me and we spoke. I was able to gain some closure in my situation because he can fill in some gaps for me that what happened that night. I remember absolutely nothing. I had a brain injury. He was gracious with his time. He stayed in contact with me, and as I worked through rehabilitation, Steve continued to visit me. We became friends. I visited him at his fire station when I was finally released from the hospital, and we stayed in touch all these years. These are the people that make up the Hendersonville Fire Department. They are not only trained and skilled, they're ethical, they are caring, and they are giving. They are community servants, and the oversight that has occurred here is not only a slight to these servants, it is a slight to the public service that supports and relies on them. take care of them so they can focus and take care of us. The reason I'm here is because of these gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Shay Binkley, Chickamauga Drive.
Good evening, Mayor Clary, Aldermen. I don't speak publicly very often, so bear with me. I'd like to start by thanking Mayor Clary. I'm not sure if you recall, but you showed up at our rental home when our home was struck by lightning. And he cooked us macaroni and cheese and chicken fingers and fresh strawberries, knowing that we had 4 kids and we were displaced for 6 months. So Hendersonville Fire Department responded to that call. Scotty Bush showed up. My husband came as the first responder in charge of the truck, which was unique, to get a 911 call to your own house. But Mayor Clary also responded, and he showed up and he took care of our family that evening with dinner, knowing that we were displaced and knowing that we were struggling. We had an 8-month-old, a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 14-year-old, and it was hard. And then you compromise your time that you have with balancing out a husband that's maybe not there 30% of the time. And that's not a fire story, that's a first responder story. So listening to all the testaments that you hear today, I thought about how the meeting started. And it started with faith, and it started with patriotism. And I think all of that resonates with every person in this room. And so I wanted to just talk a little bit about the faith part, knowing that everyone in this room comes to these meetings because we're all sound patriots. So speaking to the faith, Proverbs 25, verse 15, talks about how a soft tongue can guide a ruler. And what's important about using that soft tongue is remembering there are 2 sides to this story. And you guys have a lot of important decisions to make. And you have a lot of people coming with requests and a lot of people challenging you. And I think what resonates with me, sitting back and listening and not being someone that's present in these government meetings, is that leadership is key. And leadership is what sets the precedence for culture. I work in the private sector. I work for a bank. I do corporate commercial financing, and it's publicly traded. We talk about culture all the time. What gets us wrong is that we talk about culture and we don't act on culture. And so listening to people that work for the fire department and people that work for the police department and people that sit in executive offices and administrative offices, everyone has a complaint. And it seems like the problem is that we're just not all coming together. And I do think that the solution to some of that is meetings like this. But in addition to that, it's finding a way to approach the subjects that are meaningful to everyone and a way that you can find common ground and get everyone on the same page. There isn't a department here that's going to argue that they don't deserve maybe more money or that their comrades deserve less money to get them there. And so I think what the issue really stems from is the fact that everyone is not on the same page. When I looked through the budget, what I saw was struggling with an expense increase that's higher than the revenue increase by a certain percentage, about 1%. And then what I also saw was that you guys were really trying to plug funds into salaries in departments that weren't mentioned tonight, like the finance department and the informational technology department. And so then what resonated with me is that Hendersonville is growing very fast, and there is more demand and call for what this city needs than you can really service. I also noticed that there was a pullback on the support for nonprofits because you're making tough decisions. So make the decision to align the departments to where they understand that if their raise is slightly less this year, it's because you're doing something incrementally for all departments across the board. Get them on the same page, and then everyone sees the raise. And they understand that if it's a pullback for everyone, so that you can all lock arms and go forward together and support each other, and don't let everyone be divided. Thank you.
Shay, thank you. We don't have a consent agenda. Our next item is ordinance and resolutions. And the first item is first reading of ordinance 2025-09. This is an ordinance of the City of Hendersonville, Tennessee, adopting an annual budget and tax rate for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026. I so move. Need a second? A second from Alderman Dixon. As y'all asked me to do, I handed these out in the Finance Committee. I'm trying to think who may or may not have received one. This was if we had a trash fee to handle. You didn't get one. Michael got one. I don't think. Another one down there. Y'all still need more? Okay, here we go. Let me hold on to one. Jason, can you pull this up? Thank you. Okay. So for, 35, 40 years, City of Hendersonville had a trash fee. The way that came about was that when the city started, it started with very few services, and people continue to contract out for their trash service. They would hire people who lived inside the city limits of Hendersonville would hire a trash company to come pick up their trash and haul it away for them. And that trash company billed them directly. As the city grew a little bit, there's a problem in that some people just took it upon themselves to haul away their trash and sometimes didn't haul away their trash. City had a landfill at that time, and so somebody could just decide to throw their trash in their truck and take it up to landfill. But it became problematic because really what needed to be hauled away every week to 2 weeks sometimes sat in somebody's backyard for months at a time. So the City of Hendersonville felt like that was dangerous as far as the health impacts of it, and so the city went out and took bids for companies to pick up the trash in the City of Hendersonville. The way that they billed that was that essentially the city was a broker. They took bids, they picked one company, everybody's trash had to be picked up by that company, and they divided the total cost from that company among all the people who got the service, who received the service. Service has never been provided, as far as I know, to any apartments, mostly not townhouses, in some cases duplexes, but Sarah and Tamara understand that definition better than I do of who receives our service. It was never on the tax rolls as part of a city service until 2020, 2021-ish, I think it was. So it was not a situation where the city decided, oh, let's create a trash fee. It was a situation where 50 years ago, the city commission back then decided that they wanted to offer trash service, require people to have their trash picked up, and this is the way to do it. They didn't want to charge a tax on it because they didn't think it was fair to charge a tax based on how large somebody's property or how large somebody's house was. They charged a fee based on what the cost of the service was, and that's why the city had that for 35 or 40 years. Since I've been mayor, the board has a couple times tried to eliminate that, and like I said, 3 or 4 years ago, did eliminate that. We still have trash expenses, so you have to pay for that somehow. When that was eliminated, the property tax had to be increased to cover the cost of that. If you look on page 55 of your BOMA packet, I'm sorry, not 50, 56 of your BOMA packet, hold on. 56 of, not everybody has finance committee. Okay, I'll help you all with this. What we're looking for in your BOMA packet is where it says trash expenses. It's going to be at the top. Oh, page 61, thank you, okay. So, I was asked last week to bring a proposal for what it would look like if we went back to a trash fee. You see that bottom line as far as what trash expenses we have. It's really three. It's brush disposal, it's disposal service, and it's the tipping fees. That total comes up to $6,326,000 and $260. So if you take that and you divide it by the number of customers, 21,300, those are the addresses that we anticipate serving in the fiscal year 2026. You divide that, and if we charged all of them an equal amount, you come up with $297. So that means that we are, so that's on the handout I gave you. So if we were to add a trash fee of $97, that would provide the money that we need for that $6 million of all our trash costs. So we can take out the $6 million of trash costs from our expenses. We should take it out of our $6 million in trash costs from the general fund and from property tax receipts. If we reduce our expenses by $6.3 million, that equates to 16.06 cents that we should reduce our property tax rate. Currently, our property tax rate is $58.83 cents per $100 of assessed value. If you subtract 16.06 by adopting a trash fee, then our property tax would go down to 42.77 cents. I was asked to bring this to you all a couple weeks ago. Frankly, I was sort of surprised, but I will make that motion now, and then we can have discussion on it. Does anybody second it? So the motion is to adopt a trash fee of $297 and to reduce our property tax by 16.06 cents. This is an amendment to the ordinance. Did we have a motion a second? Yes, we did. Okay, so y'all asked me to bring it to you. I'd be very disappointed if I bring it to you and you don't even second it to where we can discuss it. Thank you. Alderman Martin seconds. Okay, so Alderman Sassy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so, and I asked for this, and I appreciate you bringing this back to us. When this originally, as long as I've been on the board, when this originally came up, it was a standalone issue. I didn't feel like it made sense for our city at the time to implement this because of the impact it has on those lower value homes and retirees and people who may be lower income as well. I still feel that way, but I wanted to see what it looked like now. And it has bigger implications as it applies to our overall budget. We reviewed this during our special called Finance Committee meeting today. And Alderman Evans ran some numbers. And if he's up for it, I'd like to pass over to him and he can share some of those numbers that he calculated.
Okay, well, we've got Alderman Martin, Ward, and Dixon next. Do y'all want to go to Alderman Evans, or do you want us to put him in the back? Yeah. Okay. Alderman Ward, you good with that too? Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Alderman Sassy. Alderman Evans.
Quick. So I ran the numbers just so we would know what to compare it to. And so, yes, $297 is what it would be for per home. But when you look at the current property tax right now, on average, if you just take $500,000 as the average home, property taxes are $746. If you reduce the property tax by the 1606, that would take the property tax down to $535. So it's a savings there on your property tax of $211. Compare that to the $297. The property owner, each property owner would be paying roughly $86 more a year. So, but I also ran, and that's on a home that's averaging $500,000. I also ran the numbers on a home that's $250,000, thinking about there are people who don't have, they have an average size home, average price home, $250,000, if you will. So right now they pay $368 in taxes. In property taxes. If you take this property tax rate, this proposed one, it's $267 that would be their property taxes. So it's a difference of $100. And compare that to $297 that they would pay for their trash. So a homeowner who owns a home that's $250,000 or less would be paying almost $200 more a year in taxes. Taxes, fees, whatever. Yeah, assessed value. Yep. So hopefully that helps. Thank you.
Alderman Evans, thank you. Alderman Martin.
I was also interested in seeing this, and I really appreciate you and Jesse and everybody at the city putting this together. It kind of lets me take a look at it. At the time I wanted to see it, it was because we were trying to close the gap to make sure that the fire department was taken care of, as well as our city staff. Obviously, we're not going to do an increase in property taxes, so this was kind of something in our back pocket to help us get there if we needed it. But looking at the options that the mayor and Jesse has brought us, I'm excited to see how we're actually there. So I'm actually not interested in this. Those are my thoughts.
Alderman Martin, thank you. Alderman Ward.
I agree with Alderman Martin that we don't need this. Actually, I'm against property tax as he is, and don't think we need a trash fee. I think we should probably try to live within our means. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Ward, thank you. Alderman Dixon.
Thank you, Mayor. At the time that we looked at this back, I guess it was last year, we were looking for a large increase we were looking at a large increase in our trash services. And Mayor, being very forward-thinking, thought, okay, we're having a hard time coming up with $2+ million for our trash services going up. In the future, what this would do for us is to say, trash has gone up, our fees got to go up. And it made sense to me at that point. And that somewhat does make sense to me at this point. But I don't want to burden those homes below $500,000. I think it starts burdening somewhere around $400,000. So I don't think I can support it at this time.
Alderman Dixon.
Thank you.
Alderman Dixon, thank you. Alderman Robertson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This fits as good as I can understand a regressive tax. And I think the numbers that Alderman Evans showed prove that it is a regressive tax. I was on the board when this, well, let's see, it was Mark, myself, and you were on the board, I believe, the only ones that when this originally came up and we switched from a trash fee. One of the reasons that I supported eliminating the trash fee is when we look at city services, fire service, police service, public works service, we spread those costs out over the whole base, over the whole tax base. When we go to a trash fee, we get away from that principle. We don't spread the cost of trash over all classes of taxation. For example, if we adopted this, businesses would not assist in the payment of trash services, neither would apartments. So I thought it was more equitable, fair, that we spread the trash costs over the entire tax base that we have, thereby reducing the tax on the $250,000 home or $350,000 home. So, Mayor, I appreciate you bringing this up. You're consistent. I have to give you that. But I can't support this trash fee either. Thank you.
It doesn't sound like anybody is, actually. Alderman Robertson, thank you. Jason, you ready for us? So the motion is to adopt a trash fee of $297 and reduce the tax rate by 16.06 cents to 42.77 cents. All those in favor, press the green button. Those opposed, press the red one. We don't have, mine's not registering. No, it is. Alderman Ward, you're a no. It's Alderman Garton, Alderman Skidmore. Oh, really? Seems like old times. So that fails 1 to 12, excuse me. Thank you all. Alderman Robertson.
Well, have we voted on your proposal? Are we going, procedural question.
Okay.
I know that we have a workshop Thursday. So are we going to vote on your proposal first? If it fails, then I have an alternative proposal that I would like to propose. So what's the status of it?
So right now, we have the main motion on the floor, and that is the budget that I proposed. If you have a alternative, you would need to amend what is on the floor.
Okay.
Of course, if folks want to.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I am offering amendment to your budget proposal. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, excuse me, Alderman Robertson, what you have to say, but my point of information, or there's many scenarios I could ask for the point of order, but which scenario are you talking about, Mayor? Are you saying scenario number 2 or number 5? That's on the salary scenarios of the general fund, the thing that's been passed out.
So I think the spreadsheet that you're looking at, there's a column that says mayor's proposal at the top of one of those.
Yes.
That's what we have on the floor right now.
So it's not a column.
So it's, okay,
Which was what we
I see
saw
what you're
last
saying.
Now, I might be
Okay.
getting the finance committee packet and the BOMA packet mixed up, and if I am, I apologize.
All right. No, I
Okay.
see what it is. now.
Okay, Alderman Martin, do you have something to clarify, or otherwise we're going to go back to Alderman Robertson?
For the benefit of the folks here, can we have Jesse review the options so that we can understand where his amendment fits, and that way everybody can see
okay.
which options we discussed? They weren't in the finance committee.
So that's up to Alderman Robertson
Yeah.
at this point.
I'm prepared to explain my option.
Okay.
You know, and I think with all due respect, I might be able to do a better job than Jesse in explaining. Now, he may amplify it, but I'm prepared to explain. But we do have 5 scenarios, you're correct. So I have no objection if we want to go through each of one of those first. That's what the Finance Committee did. So I have no objection.
Jesse and Tamara, can y'all do that for us? And then I'll go back to Alderman Robertson. What do you need me, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jason, if you could pull up the PDF that says salary scenarios. So as Jason's pulling that up, I don't know if you can zoom in on that, Jason, but there's a column that says mayor's proposal. So that's what's currently in the budget, right? So we'll call that the first column. If you look to the right, it says fire only, and above it, it says scenario 1. And you just go down the line, there's scenario 2, scenario 3, 4, and 5. So if you look under the mayor's proposal, that is what is in the budget. And that was a 2% COLA, the 2.5% merits. Then on top of that, it was a 2.5% for all employees who didn't get the mid-year raise. So the police employees who got the mid-year raise aren't included. And then a flat $2,000 for all employees who also were not included in the mid-year for police. So that's the mayor's proposal. Scenario number 1 is if we did fire only, so if we did a raise for fire only. So that's a 10%, 7.5%, and 2.5% split. So this mimics what happened at mid-year for PD. And so that puts the budget in a surplus position of $16,000. So you can see that's bolded if you look at total surplus and you just move to the right under scenario 1. That leaves us at $16,000, so it does not require a property tax increase. If you go to scenario 2, this is a scenario for all employees, except it says except PD, and that whenever it says except PD, it's except PD, the ones who got a raise at mid-year. So there's some who didn't, and they would be included in this group, right? The administrative folks and the folks who are under the police department but aren't uniformed. So this again is tiered at 10%, 7.5%, and 2.5%. Obviously, that has a much bigger financial impact. So you can see it has a deficit of $623,000. So it has a component in there of a property tax increase that's needed to hit that scenario, okay? So scenario 2 would require a property tax increase. And then scenario 3, this is for all employees, and this is a 10% increase for salaries, except PD, those who got the bump at mid-year. And this puts us deficit, you're getting closer to $1 million, so this requires a property tax increase under this scenario as well. And then our special revenue funds have to be looked at because as the cost of employees increases, they're also budgeted out of special revenue funds. So this is just the general fund impact, but there's also impacts to other funds. You go to scenario 4, this is all employees market parity. So the way that this calculation was done is when we went back to the 2023 pay study, the pay consultant broke pay up into 3 groups, one for fire, one for police, and one for general grade. At that time, police was 10.7% below market. Since that time, we've given 15% raises to police, so that would, and I'm going to round here, that's going to put them above market at 4%, okay? They were about -11, and we gave 15. That puts them above market at 4%. So then we said, based on that, at that point in time, the general grade was about 3.5% below market. So what would we have to add to them to get them 4% above market? So that would be 7 3/4, and then fire was at 1.89% above market. So what would we have to add to fire to get them 4% above market from that snapshot in time? And so that is scenario 4. That comes in at, it's hard for me to see it from here, I think it's $51,000 surplus, does not require a property tax increase. And then scenario number 5 is all employees. This is a 6% increase. Again, except PD, and then it's a 2.5% for the top 2 grades, which is a grade 25 and 26. So when we did the mid-year for police, the chief and the assistant chief got 2.5%. So this mimics those top 2 steps. Again, all these scenarios include a 2% COLA and a 2.5% merit. So like on example 5, it's a 6% increase. So that means that's to the salary. There's a 2% COLA and a 2.5% merit. So you can add all those together. That's what we have to budget for the employees' growth. So at that point, it's 4.5 plus 6. So for the majority of employees, we have to, from a budget perspective, we have to account for 10.5% of growth within the positions. So those are the 5 scenarios, and any other questions, I'm happy to walk you through.
So, Alderman Robertson, you really have the floor. Alderman Evans, I suspect, has a question about this.
I yield the floor.
Okay. Sorry. We're going to say, I know that I think we all know that Alderman Robertson has a motion, so if we want to discuss these scenarios and ask questions, I think that's okay, but let's not make a motion until Alderman Robertson comes back to that. Okay, Alderman Evans, go ahead.
Really, mine was just more of just a point of clarification, if we can. When we talk about the market parity, that's still looking at a 2023 market. And I know that that's what we had at that point in time, and that's what we're looking at there, but we're at 2025, so I'm making that point. But then we've also made the point about, in 3 of these scenarios, it says a property tax increase. But we could get that from other ways. You could reduce expenses in other areas. There are other means that you can do that. It doesn't mean that a property tax is inevitable.
Yeah, the assumption was that all things in the budget remain neutral, and so to get you to that point, that was the lever.
Yeah, I just want to be clear that it doesn't mean that property tax is going to, that's just what you're saying, that in order to pay for it, everything being equal, property tax is the only way to go.
If the budget stays as is, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Alderman Evans, thank you. Alderman Martin.
I just wanted to let you, Mayor, and Jesse, and the city know how excited I am to have this in front of us. I know you guys worked hard to get this, and we had a week or 2 for you guys to get it done, and yet here it is. So I'm excited. I think you guys are excited because the tone is so much better than last time. Just to reiterate what Jesse had gone over, scenario 1 is what we gave the police department. So to me, that's it right there. And they did it in a balanced budget, meaning there's no deficit. We could pull the trigger today, right? I love scenario 2 because it includes the city employees. and we talked last time about trying to take care of them too. The 600 and looks like 25,000, that's in the deficit. However, we've been talking about a salary survey, and it would seem to me, I think in finance, you guys talked about it being every 4 years, and we did one 2 years ago. But to me, if we take care of everybody, including the city staff, or just the fire, I think that's enough that we wouldn't have to do this salary survey this year. So that would be $150,000 that we could push out to next year or 2 years. So that would bring it down to a little over 400,000, looks like. I would really like to see us try to tackle that today. Scenario 3, it's too much, as Alderman Sassy pointed out. It's not parity. Scenario 1 is parity. Scenario 3, it says market parity, and there's another, Sorry, 4. It says parity, but when you start breaking down the numbers like that, I think that would be something better for the next time we look at raises. Right now, we're looking at 10%, 7.5%, 2.5%, the same as the police. We don't have to go and look at what other departments are doing or what other markets there are. We can do that later in 4 or 6 years, and whenever we want to do another salary survey, then I think that's appropriate. But right now, I think what we wanted is the 10%, 7.5%, and 2.5%, and we have it. So I don't plan to spend much time talking about scenario 4, and then same with scenario 5. It's 6%. It's not parity. While we have an option for parity on the table, I'd like to see us talk about that. We already took out the separation of trash fees. And again, as Alderman Evans stated, even though it says property taxes, we're not talking about raising property taxes. We have other ways to get there, especially when the amount is only about $400,000 or $500,000. So I'm hoping that we can get there. As far as sustainability, this gets us there, but we'd have to sustain it and maintain it. I think we can do that. We're limited on being able to move money around because it's already in certain buckets, something I'm still kind of learning. But next year, we just put less money in some of those buckets and we'll be able to sustain it. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Alderman Martin, thank you, and thank you for your compliments as well. Alderman Robertson.
So Alderman Martin, let me ask you a question. Are you going to bring forward a proposal for scenario 2 that's balanced? Will you bring forward do you have a proposal now?
I do, but I'm not going to bring it till after the workshop, if we have one.
Okay, you do have a proposal that we can implement scenario 2 with a balanced budget.
And then some.
Okay. Then Mayor, I'm going to withdraw my amendment. I would like to hear the proposal. I've worked hard on a proposal because I want to do something. And I've got my remarks prepared, but if there's a better way to do it, I'm open to it. I sat through finance. I know you were there part of the time, Alderman Martin, but I sat through the whole meeting and I saw them wrestle with all of these line items, to come up with savings, and they came up with a few. And so that's why I went to finance tonight to see if there was, maybe the workshop will produce something. I don't know. We're all trying to get to the same point, I believe. We're all trying to do something, that is physically sound, that is not deficit, that is not a deficit spending in the operating budget.
Understood, and I'm not here to cut your amendment off. In fact, I would love to hear it as another option.
Let's go for it then.
Alderman Robertson, go ahead.
Go for it. It won't be the first time I've been shot down, but one of the things One of the things I've done in my 6.5 years as an alderman is I've actually tried to come up with compromises. One such compromise, Mayor, and you and Alderman Skidmore will know, is I came up with the idea of the COO that would report to the mayor and not 13 individuals. I came up with the proposal for a sales tax. Some of you supported it, some of you vocally opposed it. I'm glad it passed. If we didn't have the PIP fund, if we didn't have the ½ cent, we would be in dire shape. We would really be in problem. Because, I mean, that PIP fund has allowed us to purchase fire vehicles, fire apparatuses, police cars, and all kinds of things, paving. If we hadn't had that, we would be up the creek without a paddle, so to speak. So here we go. Here's my proposal. For the last several meetings, I've done more listening than talking. My wife says that's a good trend. But maybe that's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, that we do need to listen more. Listening is a good practice for public officials. I have listened to firefighters and members of the community. And by the way, condolences, Kimberly, for your loss. I've lost my father, and it's tough. And we've listened to the public on issues of employee pay, and I'm ready to propose a pay plan for all employees that were not addressed at the mid-year budget. My constant question, my constant query during this whole process to the staff is, what is the best we can do for our employees without raising taxes? Again, what is the best we can do for our employees without raising taxes? I have spent hours with the staff, and I'm sorry that I put you through so much work, but this is an important issue, and I've been trying to find a solution. My solution's not perfect, but it is something that we can put on the table. You know, my biggest disappointment during this whole process is the impression that some people believe that we don't care about our city employees, and specifically the fire department. And nothing can be further from the truth. In 2019, after cancer surgery, I went home and had an emergency episode that they had to call the ambulance service. Well, I don't remember because I was in so much pain from complications from the surgery, internal bleeding, and so forth. But you know who came first? It was the fire department. They beat the, my wife says, I don't remember it, but my wife says that the fire department was there first. They helped put me on the gurney and took me to the hospital. So it's, from my perspective, and I think from every member of this board, the impression that we don't care is not true. You know, almost 70% of our operating budget goes for employee salaries. And we have funded annual cost of living and merit raises for all employees every year that I've been on the board. And I'm proud of that, Mayor. We've come a long way since the mayor's initial proposal budget. And I do appreciate the mayor reconsidering his original budget and proposing a separate raise in addition to cost of living and merit raises for all other employees that did not receive a separate raise at mid-year budget. Again, I ask the question, can we do better? I believe we can. My plan would allow all employees to receive the cost of living 2%, the merit of 2.5%. Additionally, there would be an additional raise for employees that did not receive a raise at mid-year budget of a 6% raise up to pay grade 25. Pay grade 25 and 26, just like we did with the police department, would only receive a 2.5% increase. Why a 6% and a 2.5% raise? First, I believe it may be the best that we can do without raising taxes, so I believe it is physically sound. I heard from firefighters that they did not like the flat $2,000 bonus in the mayor's proposal and would prefer a percentage increase. So my proposal addresses this concern. Further, a flat 6% across all pay grades up to 25 will help address the mid-management competitive pay lag identified in the 2023 pay study. When you look at the pay study, especially in mid-management, the fire department, is that we were pretty good with starting salaries, but it was the mid-year, the senior firefighter and those mid-management positions that we were below water on. So this $6,000 or 6% increase across the board should help with that situation. It will, by keeping current salary spread equally across all pay grades. Now, to pay for my proposal, because money don't grow on trees, to pay for my proposal and achieve a balanced budget, I am recommending that we move $150,000 from the pay study on page 16, line 16, from operating budget to be paid out of the fund balance. And the reason I do that is because it is not a recurring expense. I think this can be done within acceptable budgeting principles since it is a one-time, non-recurring expense. As the scenarios show, my proposal is $123,000 in the red. Saving this $150,000, moving it out of operating, will allow my proposal to be balanced. So why can I not support a tax increase? I think every board member said they don't want to raise taxes, but let me give you the reason why. Raising taxes should always be, I believe, the last option for elected officials. We have citizens, many on fixed incomes, senior citizens that are struggling to make ends meet. And I have to consider their plight if taxes are increased. First, I want to wait until a new pay study is conducted next year to determine exactly where we are. Second, our citizens just voted a tax increase last year. And I believe piggybacking another tax increase so closely will likely have a public backlash. As I stated, I can't imagine where we would be if we didn't have the PIP fund today. In 7 years, the campaign to renew the PIP will begin. The vote will be in 8 years, but the campaign, I won't be here. Mayor Clary won't be here, but Mark Skidmore, I predict, will be here. But you that are here in 7 years will have to carry this banner. Some of us carried the banner earlier, but you will have to carry it. And so our citizens will have the final say on whether the sales tax will be extended. And I fear moving too quickly on the back of this referendum for a property tax on the heels of a sales tax vote may jeopardize that campaign. Citizens have a long memory. Now, we may have to increase property taxes in the future, as Alderman Evans has mentioned, and I'm ready to do that in the future to meet competitive pressures from surrounding cities. But first, let's have a pay study to justify it. To increase property taxes or establish, and it's already been defeated, a trash fee at this time for salary increases without an updated pay study, to me, is like shooting in the dark. So my proposal is not perfect, but it's an attempt. And I believe it represents a good faith effort by city leaders to address pay issues for all employees, pending an updated and relevant pay study. You know, if we adopt my proposal, the 6%, and let's say the pay study comes back in next year and we're still underwater, say on police and fire, we may have to increase a property tax then to address that. But I believe that with a relevant and a valid current pay study, that we can, well armed with that pay study, I believe we can make the case, if we do need to increase taxes, that this is the reason why we need to do it. So, Mayor, that is my proposal, an amendment, and I ask for your support. Now, one option is that we could pass this on first reading and always change it as a result of the workshop or as a result of a better plan that someone comes up. But at least this is a plan that I've worked hard on to try to move us off of dead center. So, Mayor, with that, I move adoption of my amendment to your budget.
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, we have a second from Alderman Garza. Alderman Robertson, Alderman Garza, I think the next motion is going to be to take a break.
That's fine.
We've been here, we're going a little bit, an hour and a half, and
I've talked
most of us
too
had
much.
meetings, most of us had committee meetings before that. I'm fine with the motion just being out there right now. When we come back, though, the comments need to address this motion.
Okay.
So, okay. Alderman Goodwin. So we have a motion to take a break. Do we have a second? We have a second from Alderman Dixon. All in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. See you all in about 10 minutes.
To hire more firemen. Caffeine.
So y'all, this is where we are. We have a motion on the table to amend the main motion. Main motion is my proposed budget, we see up there in column 2. And then the amendment is what you see under scenario 5, and that came from Alderman Robertson, second by Alderman Garza. So our conversation really needs to be at this point on scenario number 5. And by the way, so I had somebody bring this up to me a second ago. I'm pretty informal. When somebody has a question for somebody, I get that it's just easier to ask them. The correct way to do that would be for Lance to say, Mr. Mayor, I would like to know why Alderman Bergdorf believes what he does. So the incorrect way is to ask them directly. I'm pretty informal about that. It's not a really big deal. When we start going back and forth a little bit, then I feel like I sort of have to step in. We just get informal, and that's okay. But everything is actually supposed to be addressed to me. That's under Robert's rules, but it's sometimes just easier to get informal. Let's just be careful about that. So, let's see. Alderman Sassy needs to be on scenario number 5. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Robertson, I like this proposal. It makes sense to me. I need to look at it further, though. I mean, this has, obviously, we don't want to take this lightly, has big implications. We also have other ideas on the table. What I don't want to happen is for one of these options to be taken off the table. What, you know, if we voted on this and it was voted down, that we wouldn't be able to then bring it back. I guess what I'm proposing is at the workshop, if you could bring your proposal, I'll bring mine, Alderman Martin will bring his, anyone else can bring theirs, and we can look and hash them out and see how it affects our people. So my offer would be let's hold off on voting on the budget today. Let's get to the workshop, and then do first reading again after the workshop at our next BOMA meeting, and that would be my offer. So if you wanted to accept that, I don't know if I can offer that at this time to defer this until our next meeting, or if I have to wait till.
You can, but it really leaves us in a difficult situation. Is when we come back to the next meeting, we would take up Alderman Robertson's motion.
I see.
No matter what else had been discussed at the workshop.
Okay, well, I'll wait until this discussion is done. I just wanted to offer that to you, Alderman Robertson, because I want to hash your idea out with these other ideas and see what we can all agree on and what works best for our employees. So that would be my offer. Thank you.
Alderman Sassy, thank you. Alderman Dixon.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Roberson's proposal is very fair. It's very fair. I'm sorry I'm losing my voice. I absolutely could get behind it. It still puts us as a city very tight. I would never vote for a property tax increase. We can find it somewhere else, and this is what he has done. I think it splits the middle with market parity and helping get the fire department where they think is fair, and I think it's fair. I will say that I think it was our workshop that we had last week, Mr. Eckenroth made the suggestion about putting policy around how we look at our pay study and we adjust pay at budget time, and I think that needs to be done. I will vote in favor for this, but I will say that I think that our general committee needs to look at an ordinance around putting policy around this, and it takes some of the. It looks at the data analysis and it forces us to be. To start with data analysis instead of what our heart wants to do for our community. If I was allowed to do what my heart wanted to do for the community, nobody would be able to afford a home because the property tax would be so high. So what I want to say also is that if there are other competing scenarios or proposals, Mayor, that Alderman Martin suggested that he had a proposal plainly. Let's get it out there now. I think it's important to be transparent. I think Alderman Martin has posted a couple times on social media this week, or in the last week, that he is all for transparency, and I think that we need to show it. Let's see what's going on. Thank you.
So let me clarify a little bit. So we have a workshop set for, when's our workshop set? For Thursday night. So asking that those proposals be sent out tomorrow? Ahead of the workshop?
Either that or let's talk about them here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Appreciate that, Alderman Dixon.
Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Collins.
I will say that I have an idea for a way to look at the budget, but I'm waiting to hear back from the comptroller. So that might be tomorrow, it might not be. But I certainly hope that I would hear back by Thursday. But when we're looking at the different scenarios, mayor's proposal and scenarios 1 through 5, which I think includes Alderman Roberson's proposal, it seems to be scenario 5, although I'm not sure that 25 and the top 2 grades are the same thing, but I think it is. Okay, thank you. Then it's very important to me to hear from the public safety chair. So in our new formality, Mayor, could you ask the public safety chair for her opinion on which scenario she feels is most appropriate?
I think you did that well, and I think and of course nobody has any obligation to answer any questions. But right now we have Alderman Ward ready to speak, and then Alderman Bergdorf. So Alderman Goodham, if you want to say anything, I'll give you a chance to press your button there in just a second. Alderman Ward.
I would like to have Alderman Goodwin go first.
Alderman Bergdorf, you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Alderman Goodwin, do you want to speak now, or do you want to wait till later? It's totally up to you. Go ahead.
I would like to see everything that's on the table before I can make a decision.
Alderman Goodwin, thank you. Alderman Ward.
Well, with that said, there's a lot of ideas up here, and they're not all on paper. I think it would be beneficial to the whole board if they were all discussed tonight, or at least brought up. It seems like a kind of I'm fixing to get blindsided if I'm not going to be told anything until next Thursday. So I'm prepared next Thursday to not be blindsided. So I'm very interested in any proposal, Alderman Sassy, Alderman Martin, or Alderman Collins, somebody else. There's a lot of ideas out here. So it'd be great to discuss them tonight. You know, and I'm not ready to make a motion yet, but I think one of the things that needs to be done is we need to, I don't know if it's a motion or what, we need to have this budget committee thing on Thursday. We need to not vote on this till next Tuesday. There's just too many ideas out there that there's going to be. So if we did talk about them all tonight, I mean, just a summary of this is a suggestion of what I have would be nice from everybody that's got an idea. That would be a great start to know how many scenarios we're going to look at, because it's not advantageous to this board to look at 75 scenarios on Thursday night. And I don't know how many different ways you can split a political hair. So I would say that we need to study a little bit longer.
Alderman Ward, thank you. Alderman Bergdorf.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I tend to agree with the last two aldermen who have spoken about it. One thing, as we discussed early on in the meeting, this came out of finance tonight. It just came right out of finance committee tonight. We waived the 2-week rule. Normally, we have 2 weeks to study. I think we need to take some more time and study each aspect of the proposals that were given us. I think the public safety chair is wise in that regard. I will not be supporting Alderman Roberson's motion.
So, thank you, Alderman Bergdorf. So here's what I have a hard time is that I have a hard time with somebody who criticizes somebody else's plan and doesn't have an alternative. Alderman Skidmore, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, no, seriously, thank you, Mayor, I appreciate this. my colleague from, my distinguished colleague from Ward 1 kind of stole my thunder right there because that, but no, I'm glad you did that. You're doing good, and as a alderman, I'm proud of you, and this whole board, you do exceptional work. And yeah, well, I don't know, but I appreciate what you said. The only thing that I would like to say tonight is, again, and listen very carefully to what my colleague from 1 said, because he's dead on about this. Two points. One is the point that he made about we waived the 2-week rule because in actuality, if we didn't have a 2-week rule, it wouldn't be even on the agenda tonight. What would be happening in 2 weeks would be the Finance Committee and the mayor's budget, along with Alderman Roberson's ideas on the budget as well, and then we would be rehashing it right then. So I think that he's correct in saying we need to let it, not make any decision on this tonight, but Thursday, this coming Thursday, we're going to have, we kind of know where we're headed. And I don't know of an alderman on this board that says the firemen need to be paid, because you do, and you know it. I know it. I mean, this whole town knows it. The work, the exceptional work that our emergency services produce for us is why a lot of us are sitting here right now. I'm going to be honest with you, because I've always said in my years of office, and then I'm going to get to the regular city employees in just a second, where my heart kind of lies with the Public Works Department. If you get their trash, if you get your citizens' trash picked up, you provide them with adequate police and fire protection, and keep your taxes as low as possible, you don't need another alderman. That's what we're here supposed to do. That's why we're elected, to keep those things for our constituency, for the people of the city of Hendersonville. So I think everybody on this board knows where we're going with it. The question is how we're going to get there, because there's 4 or 5 ideas up here, and we've got to narrow them down and see which one is best for, number 1, our citizens' back pockets, number 2, y'all's back pockets, and then our city staff, because, you know, we sometimes, because you guys are so important, and I'm talking about all the emergency personnel here, we forget about all the rest of the city's employees. But you know, our Public Works Department is just as important. They pave roads, they pave potholes, they put the street signs when the kids steal the signs, you know, and those kind of things. And they put them up, you know, and they use those signs for when the fire department or the police department have to go to your home. And sometimes we're getting so many, because we're growing, you got to look up and see where that sign is. And it's there. So everybody works together in one. And that's what I want to keep that. I want to get back to that, where we all are kind of depending on each other. Because we depend on you to do your thing, and then you depend on us to do our thing. So we're real close. This is not, to me, it's just not rocket science to pay our people when we've got the money to do it. And I firmly believe the city of Hendersonville has the money to pay what you all deserve as a city, employees, period. It's just a question on how to get there. But I really think, with respect to where we are, we're having that special meeting in 2 days, in 48 hours. We're going to be right back here. We can make a decision then, but with all that's been said this evening, I just think that to allow my colleague from Ward 6, Mr. Roberson, have us allowed to take a look at it, and Mr. Martins, and I'm assuming finance. I don't know if you all have come up with a proposal, because I know the mayor has now. I know Mr. Roberson has now, and I know that Alderman Martin and Alderman Sassy's committee, I don't know whether they have, I apologize, I was in a general meeting, committee meeting this evening, and by the time I got in here, they were dismissing the finance committee, so I don't know really what happened. But I think that's the approach that needs to be taken. The last thing, Mayor, I want to say is this. As an alderman, at least this is my opinion, this is one of the most important every year. That's why the town elects this board, is because this is the most important issue, is the budget. Now, we come up every, after the budget's all dead and gone and all the dust clears, and then there's other things that come about, and then we do our governmental thing that we're supposed to do. But in a couple of months, we're going to start planning for the budget again, because it is the most important thing that an elected official in this town does, is the budget, because it affects every person's life in town. Now, in public works, we pave streets. Sometimes that affects, people's lives, but maybe it's one side of town and really not the other, because that's just the way public works is. But when you're dealing with tax money, you're dealing with everybody. And you're also, not only us on the board, but you guys, which I'll emphasize, can't emphasize it enough, it's every single person in the city of Hendersonville. So I would ask this board to either defer this until the next city council meeting or board meeting that we have, because we'll still be on schedule. Allow the finance committee, have the workshop in 48 hours. We'll all be here to do it. I would assume as a board of aldermen, we will all be here, and we'll be able to discuss it, because I think that's the proper thing, because we want to do what's right. I don't want to go in here and pass something on first reading, and then when it comes back in 2 weeks, go, well, we shouldn't have done that. We need to go back and make an amendment to the budget. That's just more time that you're having to do. So that's how I feel about it, Mayor. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot or anything like that. So, but thank you, Mayor, for the time, and just y'all please consider that, on the deferment of the reading of this until we do it at our next board meeting, which really we should have done in the first place, instead of waiving the two-week rule. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Sassy.
Thank you, Mayor. So Alderman Dixon requested that we see the things now, and Bergdorf, you stole my thunder as well, Alderman Bergdorf as well, because I was going to say that as well. But yeah, we just had our finance committee meeting today. Some new things were brought to light for me, which I haven't been able to get pen to paper on it yet, which is why I need just these couple days to really dig into it. And so I can present it to this board during the workshop. So I would really appreciate if we deferred it. And then we can all, now that we've all had a chance to view these, discuss them, kind of have a better understanding of what they all are, let's then come together. We can discuss them again and kind of get a consensus on them and understand what we're looking at when we come back here again. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Sassy. Alderman Ward and Alderman Robertson, y'all getting ready to speak for your second time. I need to speak for my second time. So we sent out a calendar of what our plans were, and Alderman Robertson was able to come to City Hall and meet with staff and come up with an alternative He didn't need to wait till there's a finance committee or anything else. He had his stuff together and brought it to us when he did. The problem we're gonna run into is that if we don't pass first reading tonight, we are gonna have to schedule a special meeting. Special meetings are very difficult because I don't think we should schedule a special meeting unless all 13 of us can be here. That's gonna be hard to find a night when that happens. Alderman Robertson, I appreciate you very much, the time that you spent with our staff and on your own putting this together. And there's no reason that other people couldn't have done that. So let's go to Alderman Ward.
I was in the Finance Committee meeting tonight, and I do not recall, but can you tell me what y'all's final recommendation was? Because it's not on the committee reports tonight.
So Alderman Robertson, Alderman Skidmore, y'all are next, but do we want to go to Alderman Sassy, since he's the chairman?
Yes, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, can I ask Alderman Sassy that?
Sure.
We had a negative recommendation for this budget.
Okay.
So we did not recommend it.
Okay, thank you.
For the mayor's budget, that's correct.
Let me follow up. Did the Finance Committee make any recommendations for a budget?
We did not.
Okay, thank you.
Because we have the workshop coming up. Thank you.
Alderman Robertson.
Well, I'd like to be the last one because I've got a motion.
Well, you got Alderman
So,
Skidmore.
Well, I defer to Alderman Skidmore.
Alderman Skidmore.
Thank you very much. I just want to say one thing. I'm very happy that Alderman Robertson came up here and spoke to city staff. But we get paid, how much money a month do we get paid as an alderman? Seriously, this is no joke. What, $6? Okay, I can remember when it was $50 a month, okay? So I know this is not a full-time board of aldermen, and it upsets me in a way that I hear coming out into the audience that you should be thanking somebody because they came up here and talked to the city staff when they've got a full-time job either in Nashville or in Gallatin or wherever it is. You know, people, sometimes you can get up here and get City Hall-itis. And what I mean by that is you can't see the forest before the trees, and you think that, well, I can do this because I work up here, I work or I'm retired, and I can do this. I can come down here in 5 minutes, drive down the highway when there's somebody on I-65 that works at the federal courthouse or the old Estes Kefauver building or Amazon for that, or wherever they work. And they can't get up here by 5 o'clock. That's insane. It bothers me because it's an alderman, you do your regular work in life, man. And then when you come home, you get on the phone and you start answering emails. That's what you do. And you got to love it. And I do love it. I generally do. My whole family. We've done it for years. And it's just something that you do. But you don't think that we just, you know, there are some people, and I am one of the ones, I can go to City Hall anytime I want to and do all the things that I have to do. But there are some people that work for a living. So don't, just because that Alderman Robertson, and I'm saying this kindly, had the opportunity to come up here and speak with the staff, okay, listen, more power. I encourage anybody that needs to speak to the staff, whether you're an alderman or whether you're a constituent, come up here and talk to them. Talk to us. But don't sit there and kind of make somebody feel bad because they've got a full-time job and and the salary that some of us up here that get are well over $100,000, and we get paid $600 a month. You know, I certainly I can attest to you that I spend more than $600 a month out of my own pocket being an alderman, and it doesn't. it doesn't bother me. I mean, because I want to do it. I enjoy helping people. But, you know, it just kind of, it makes me kind of chuckle when somebody tells me that I make, you know, that they make over $100,000, you know, and then here they say, well, you should come up here at City Hall when I'm busting my rear end down in Nashville to try to get it back, and the traffic is backed up on 65 because of the state government, because they won't widen 65, you know. So I want to tell my leadership, and he is my leadership, and that's the mayor. And I'm not criticizing for what he would say. I'm just saying I would step very quietly when you would make when a comment would be made like that. When you well make over 100,000, and some of our city staff even make that, and then sit there and criticize, or at least point out for the people that make $600 a month that they can't get up here and get to the city staff. Because I would never embarrass anybody like that. Because if, number one, it's none of my business, and number two, if they can get here, they can, Mayor. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate you giving me the time. But I would just hope on that particular issue, I would say step quietly on that if it were me. Thank you.
Alderman Skidmore, thank you. Alderman Robertson.
So I have a motion, but I think it's good for us. It's going to take some time, and I don't know but we have several department heads here. And I would like to give any department head the opportunity to come and address this board. I know that we have heard through staff, but you know, if any of the directors would like to come up and address the board, I would be glad to hear. Chief Bush.
So, Alderman Robertson, are you looking for information about their specific
I've
budget?
got some questions.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I've got questions.
Okay. And I ask that because that's the role of staff,
Yes.
is to provide information,
Yes.
not to advocate. Okay.
Yes. So when we were considering the police department raise, I asked a couple of questions of the police chief, and I would like to ask any department head that would like to address this. The first question that I asked Chief Jones is, are you having trouble attracting candidates to be employees of your department? So that's the first question. The second question, are you having trouble retaining? I think those are that's two relevant questions, and we've seen all kinds of stats on that. So if you could limit your discussion to those 2 points, you know, are you having trouble attracting and retaining?
Absolutely. We used to have about 300, 350 applicants. We're down to about 100 now. And then retention, since 2019, we've flipped 33 employees. Now, whether that's people that have left for other employment or they're not the fit for us. I think the comment was made, we want the best of the best. You heard the people talk about what the level of service is that these folks in the red shirt provide. And if they don't meet our standards, we don't stick them around. We send them on down the road. So some of those 33 are folks that we've not lived up to our 6 months of probation. But we've had 33 people leave our organization since 2019. Absolutely.
Alderman Robertson, anything else for him, or do you want another?
No, those are the only two questions that I have.
We've got Mr. Gilly. We've got Jason here.
And it's optional. You don't have to, but Sarah's here. I think it's good for us to hear from the management.
Can you repeat the question, please, sir?
Have you had trouble attracting candidates for jobs? And second, do you have a retention problem with employees?
We have had several of our lower maintenance people and some of our admin staff leave for different opportunities. I can't tell you if it was for pay, if it was for benefits, if it was for they just wanted something that was less pressure, less hours, less things. But in terms of parks, I mean, we've had candidates, we've had people that have turned us down because it wasn't enough pay. We have had people say that are currently employed. I mean, we had a guy send a letter of resignation last week that's going to seminary school. So I
Can't get in the way of God.
no, I'm not gonna tell that person, but I will tell you that you know that is a person who in his current role, we had to create some crazy hours for that person. Like on Mondays, he was working 10 to 8:30 because he was in charge of our adult softball league. You know, you go to seminary school and you're a youth minister or you're a pastor of adult men, your hours may be that crazy too. I don't know exactly the answer to all that.
Yeah.
So I hope I've given you nothing, but I've come up here and answered. I've come up here and answered your question as somebody who's been standing in the back of the room.
So Sarah and Greg are here as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry, not sorry.
So question number one is, have we had a difficult time recruiting? Okay. For engineering positions, definitely. It took a very, very long time to fill those roles. For some of our maintenance staff, yes, that can be very challenging. We may get a lot of click applications on Indeed, but most of those people do not have any experience in the work that we do. So very few candidates to interview and to offer positions to. As far as turnover, I would say probably 60% of Public Works has been with the city less than 5 to 10 years. Most of our city hall staff is within the last 5 years. And we actually had someone resign today for more pay. So we have an opening. And we have someone else who's retiring within the month, so we actually have 2 openings. So yes, we do have quite a bit of turnover, especially in the lower pay grades.
Thank you. This is good to hear. Keith?
You said it was good to hear that she has all.
No.
All right, I'll try to answer those 2 questions. The planning department has a staff of about 8, mostly professional level, and it has been difficult filling the positions. We have a new senior planner that's coming on board Monday, and it took us several months to get qualified applicants to even have an interview panel. But we believe we got a really good applicant. But of the 8, we've got eight folks in our department, and over the last 3 years, we've lost a little over maybe 33%. So we've lost, maybe more than 4, but one of those is for retirement, and the other 3, they actually loved working here and loved working for the city. But they progressed to a point where they were offered significantly higher level jobs, which involved more pay, but also their flexibility on the working remote and those types of things with their schedule. So the three that left, each one of them, jumped like 3 or 4 spots, professionally from where they are. But part of that is, the environment that we create here in the city, where we pour into people. We don't really hold back. Some places might hold back on pouring into people because you might lose them, but we want to get the best years that anybody can give us. So we're not going to, as a city, we're not going to be selfish in holding back because we're going to then make somebody so attractive, that everybody else wants them.
Thank you.
And so that's what that is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg or Tamara or Jason?
Anybody else?
I'll take the hot seat next. So in finance, we've had on some fairly technical positions, a little bit of difficulty with recruitment, like the centralized procurement. We ran the recruitment, got almost no applicants. Finally made an offer after the second go-around who declined because the pay was too low. Ran it again. We finally have somebody in after about 9 months. Finance overall, and we have 13 employees. 6 of them have been with the city less than 3 years.
Let me ask you one question. It was mentioned by a member of the public that there should be $9 million in the PIP fund. Can you explain for the record why there is not $9 million in the PIP fund as maybe originally projected?
Yeah, the original projection was $9 million, and then with the reduction of the half-cent sales tax on groceries, that reduced it for the current year by about $800,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I wanted that for the record.
Thank you, Tim.
Jason or Greg?
So in building and codes, we have a staff of 9. We did have 10. We just had a guy leave to take on another job, but he actually took a demotion because he was going to do a remote job from home. So getting with Jesse and Jason here, I took that position and pretty much sacrificed it to help elevate 2 other people in my department so we can kind of shrink the department down a little bit and help out the folks that are actually obtaining the certifications. Recruiting is a little difficult in our department because of the standards that we've set forth as far as certifications that you need to perform your job and trades and all that. So it can be a little difficult in the recruiting process. Retention, I really don't think we have any issues right now with staff as far as needing anybody. We're not planning on losing anybody, so we're in good shape as we are now. So,
Thank you, Greg.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
And Jason?
So I think out of those 2, the one that comes to mind the first for me, being here just 3 years, kind of coming into a different environment, retention is the piece that I look at. The areas I oversee is HR, IT, and public information. In any one of those professions, someone can go into the private industry, leave us, and make more money very easily. So we've been very fortunate in the past few years to hire some very talented staff. And the people who have stayed, Jason Hollers, David Briggins, Sharday Robinson, who have stayed with IT, they're rock solid, and they've just added to the team. But every day, the thought isn't, can I find enough applicants if an opening comes up? It's, I've got solid people who stand in and do the work. How do I keep them? It's not just pay, it's not just benefits, it's the culture you create. And that's the piece that's the struggle of how do we make it the best place and still be able to acknowledge that they're doing really solid work. So it's the retention that keeps me awake every night. It's not the recruitment.
Thank you. I believe that's it. Thank you, Mayor, for indulging me. I think it's good for us to pause and listen to our managers that run the organization. So thank you. So I have a motion based on the discussion of the board. I would like to withdraw my amendment, and I would like to move to defer the mayor's a decision on the mayor's budget until May the 27th. That's the next BOMA meeting. I also would like to require that any other budget proposals be presented at the workshop so that we have full transparency, that we have full disclosure, and that we know exactly what we're voting on. So that is my, that's a big motion.
Yeah, so let's so go ahead and withdraw.
I'll
Alderman
move to
Garcia, okay.
withdraw.
So Alderman Ward, you're in the queue. We're getting ready to have a motion to defer, which then we need to address that. Do you want to talk about the budget?
Question for all the department heads as well.
Okay, so I think all of us would appreciate if you didn't make a motion, because I think we sort of know where we're headed, but that's totally up to you. So you want to ask a question, then I'll go back to Alderman Robertson?
I want to ask a question and then go back to Alderman.
Sounds good. Okay, go ahead, Alderman.
Consider his motion. I think it's a good motion.
Okay.
While we, and I'm comfortable with the informal, all of the department heads, please sit in your chair. You can yell this number across the room. So when we talk about recruitment and retention, Jason, since you're on this side, I'll start with you. How many people are you down now in your department, and how many people are you looking for?
0. We're fully staffed right now.
Okay, so I need to say that in the microphone. So Jason's, yeah, I mean, nobody hears it at home, and it doesn't get recorded. Yeah.
And I know Jason Hollers is going to scold me via text to not come to the mic, so. Currently, we're fully staffed. We have no openings. We're not recruiting.
None?
None.
Okay, and I don't know
0.
what order you want to go in.
So let's go Tamara. So Tamara,
Okay.
give us a number.
As of yesterday, finance is fully staffed.
Okay, so 0. Andy? Give us a number as of yesterday, said Tamara.
Yeah, that would be a good benchmark.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Not today, yesterday.
As of yesterday, we are full. In August, we'll be 2 down, and I don't know what else to tell you.
That's good, that's
what I
perfect
got.
answer. That
That's what I got.
answers my question.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Open positions.
I'm going to go with today, 2.
2, okay, thank you.
Okay. Chief Jones, you may not have been here. How many open positions do you have right now?
I was listening.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't know if you
From
were still
afar.
here or
I
not.
was listening from afar.
Okay.
Chief, I'd also, you just did a recruitment too.
We did. But they're in background, and some of them failed the initial testing, so 12. We lost 2 of them on the initial testing, so we still have 12 they're gonna do backgrounds. So we're, and I may get this number wrong, I know it's at least 9 today that were short, but it may be 12.
9 unfilled positions today.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Who's next?
Do they really have to walk back and forth, or can they just?
They can
Oh,
say
they
it,
have to
and I'll
be on
just
the
say it on the
microphone. I'm
microphone.
sorry.
We are currently staffed, in building and codes.
Thank you.
0 open positions. Keith?
1 today, fully staffed Monday.
So 1 open position today, fully staffed on Monday. Chief Bush, how many open positions today?
I have 1 with 3 retirements coming up.
So you have 1 open position right now?
1 open, 3 retirements coming up.
Okay, thank you. So 1 open in, 1 open today, and 3
And
retirements.
3 people retiring soon, near future?
Yes, sir. 2 in June and 1 in November.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Alderman Ward, anything else?
That's
Okay, appreciate that. Alderman Robertson, you're gonna make a motion,
You may repeat it.
please.
All right, first of all, let me move to withdraw my amendment.
You're already good with that.
We're good with that? Okay. The second is I move to defer the mayor's budget until May the 27th. That gives 2 weeks, but with the requirement that any new budget proposals be presented at the workshop on Thursday that Alderman Sassy will be conducting.
So, we have motion, a second. Let me clarify, Alderman Robertson, Alderman Sassy, anything other than the mayor's proposal and the 5 scenarios
Yes.
needs to be proposed Thursday night?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And it needs to be a legal budget, meaning we.
Well, that's law, isn't it?
Yeah, so.
That's law.
So the proposals need to be legal, I guess. Is that okay, incorporating that in?
Yes, I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
it's got
Okay with
to
that?
be compliant with state law.
Okay, any discussion on that? Anybody need it repeated? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all for your help on that. Let's go to Resolution 2025-16. This is a resolution adopting the Traffic Impact Study Guide to evaluate transportation impacts associated with new development and land use changes. Alderman Martin.
Motion?
We have a motion from Alderman Martin. Alderman Skidmore, do you want to make a second?
Second.
We have a second from Alderman Skidmore. Any discussion on this?
Want me to present it?
if you would like. Nobody else seems to really be interested in discussion.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Alderman Robertson, I just turned off your microphone. Was that from earlier, or was that on this? Did you want to speak on this? No. Sorry, okay. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of Resolution 2025-16, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we're on to other agenda items. You received on May 8th through email the nomination I have for Matt Young to serve as one of our members of the Resource Authority Board. Jim Young, no relation, has been on there for 30-something years, and he has decided that he does not want to be reappointed. His term ends in June. We've got, Matt, we've got what we emailed to you. Didn't put it in the packet because there's some, what's the word we want to put on there? Personal information on there. Certainly is public record, but we didn't want to throw it out by email. If you want to see his resume, it's right here. Alderman Ward. Oh, first off, I need to make that nomination. It does not require, well, it'd be good if we had a second, because it is a motion. Okay, second from Alderman Martin. Alderman Ward, did you want to speak on this? No. Okay. Alderman Evans.
Thank you. I just had a question, Mayor. What is the Resource Authority? What do they do? And I guess I'll just say, and does this applicant, does he live in Hendersonville? Okay.
He does.
Because I don't know anything about it.
Okay. So Resource Authority is a quasi-public-private business that accepts trash and recyclables and is run very much like a nonprofit. However, it has to hold back money for long-term expenses. We are 2/7 owners. Gallatin is 2/7 owners. The county is 3/7. Each ownership share has a member on the board. I'm one of those members. Jim Young is the other one, so we have 7 people on there. We operate under a special act by the state of Tennessee in 1980. And it's set up very similar to the way a city is set up, but our purview is really quite small. We take in trash, we get rid of trash. We do have 2/7 responsibility for all expenses. It runs on customer fees. There is a mistaken idea out there that that's tax money that the Resource Authority has. It's not. It's revenue that's collected by customers. If ever we liquidated it, we would get 2/7 of it. If ever there was a huge expense that we couldn't cover, we would cover 2/7 of it. So, thank you, Alderman Evans. I don't think I've talked much about that. So, Alderman Ward.
Well, I don't know if this is a proper place for it or not, but I had something else I wanted to say about the budget meeting on Thursday.
Why don't you bring that up when we get to the report under Finance Committee?
I'll bring it up whenever there's a room.
If it's a question.
Pardon me?
If it's a question. Or
It is not a question. It's a statement.
We'll get there in a second. Okay.
It's an invitation.
Okay. All those in favor of electing Matt Young to the Resource Authority, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. So here's my problem, Alderman Ward, is we've dispensed of that, and that technically to have a discussion on it, we have to amend the agenda. You can't, this isn't something you suspend the rules in.
It said that we'll have no numbers in it at all. It's actually an invitation to citizens.
You know what? I bet you Jesse has a question about what your invitation is when he gives his report. Okay. General Committee, Chairman Garza.
Yes, we met tonight with one ordinance granting a franchise to Piedmont Natural Gas. The board was neutral on that. There's some questions about the percentages, and they're gonna come back to us with more numbers. Then we had a resolution 2025-17 directing staff to explore the relocation of the U.S. Post Office on Imperial there. It's tiny and hard to get in and out of. We have a positive recommendation with a little work on some dates and some wording that Lance thought may not be as clear as we would hope. and that went neutral too.
Chairman Garza, thank you. Let's see, Chairman Goodwin, Public Safety.
We had a meeting tonight, and the only thing on our agenda was we discussed some issues with a certain area of town with some residents, and they are going to work with the chief of police, and we gave them some suggestions. That concluded our meeting.
Thank you, Chairman Goodwin. Alderman Martin, Planning Commission.
We had the Falcon Ridge development come back through. If everybody remembers, that's the one that's owned by American Homes for Rent, which builds homes and leases them out to the community. They don't sell them. This is located at 800 New Shackle Island Road. They're in discussions with Ryan Homes. Ryan Homes may purchase that. If they do, they're going to build larger homes, and they're going to sell those to the community. And so they asked for a simple variance, which we granted, and we really hope them well. We hope they're able to purchase that property. Best Buy is coming in over at Glenbrook Shopping Center. They had a small request on the signage, but I'm excited to have Best Buy come to town. And then Drake's Creek Maintenance Complex, that's our facility at Drake's Creek Park. It's in a floodplain, so we're going to move it out, build it up on higher ground. And Director Free wanted everyone to know that we are going to have a work session on May 20th at 6:30 to go over some changes in the zoning ordinance and subdivision regulations. If you're interested, you're more than welcome to come. It'll be in this room.
Alderman Martin, thank you.
Question for Alderman Martin.
Go ahead.
Remind me again, maybe I missed it, the Falcon Ridge. What's happening there? Because that's in Ward 6.
So that is a older development that was approved, I think in 2014. However, it's very difficult to build on. It requires a lot of cut and fill. American Homes for Rent is the owner. They came before the Planning Commission asking for a lot of variances in order to be able to build on it. We didn't give it to them. And so now Ryan Homes, I think, is going to purchase it. They want to build larger homes, and they're going to invest more money into that property to make it a better development. So they're going to sell the homes instead of lease them.
So they're going to use the existing zoning that we've approved.
Yeah, they're going to use the existing zoning. We're going to talk to them about creating a new road that will provide connectivity through, which some of the community has asked for.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
can send you the, no?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Does anybody else want it?
Send it to all of us.
All right.
Thank you, Alderman Martin. Thank you, Alderman Robertson. Chairman Sassy, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, we had a special called Finance Committee meeting. The only thing on the agenda was the budget and tax rate ordinance. We met at 5:30. It took about an hour and a half. We also reviewed the trash fee implementation that the mayor provided for us as well, which was voted down tonight. We also reviewed the different salary scenarios, which was really our first chance to start discussing the scenarios as a group, which we continued on through tonight. And that concluded our meeting. Thank you.
Chairman Sassy, thank you. Jesse, did you have a question for Mr. Ward?
Yeah, I had a question for the whole board if they had questions on Thursday's meeting.
Oh.
Any questions?
There you go.
Yes, I would like to ask a question. What is the capacity of this room? How many people can we get in here? I counted 99 chairs.
At least 99.
Okay. So, I say that because I would like
Yeah,
to
I was looking-
personally
I was looking
invite
for the fire
people
marshal.
in Ward 2, particularly on Cabinet Branch Circle, Camerado Lane, Hadaway Drive, Indian Lake Road from East Main to Daniel Smith Drive, Paxton Court, Shivel Drive, and Windham Drive, because those are the streets that are not going to get paved next year. And I think it's important that specifically those people get invited to the budget meeting so they know why their road's not going to be paved. And I want to say that it needs to be balanced with all the citizens, all the employees and stuff like that. And I want to mention the Firefighters Association. I think they've done an excellent job on raising awareness and bringing this to everybody's attention so you know what's going on. That's why I feel like it's important to have this budget meeting on Thursday night so everybody can discuss it. I think it's impressive how many of those firefighters come and show up this meeting and stay. That's impressive. So I would like to, well, tell the public out there that this room has 99 chairs. But more people can watch the meeting because there's 2 other conference rooms where they can actually watch the budget committee meeting on TV? No. So workshop will not be televised. So it is that much more important that they show up to share their opinion. Pro or con, either way, I'm just looking for input.
Alderman Ward, thank you.
Thank you.
That will be at 7:15 in this room on Thursday. Okay. I know all the employees who got the awards are at home now watching this BOMA meeting, so congratulations if you got your 5, 10, 15, 20, or 25-year award tonight. Jason, I have the controller, so I think I can get it here. Thank you. We're going to go through the BOMA report. At the beginning of the month, we update the report, and then it stays static for the second meeting of the month. So I'm just going to walk it through here. The Isaacs are coming. So the Hometown Jam, Veterans Park, May 26th. And the French Family Band opens for them, and they're excellent too. So there's 2 really great, going to be 2 really great bands. I encourage you to come out to that. That is free for everyone. The other thing that we wanted to highlight is this is an improvement that is coming onto Main Street. So this is going to be a before and after. So this is at Indian Lake. Would be eastbound. You're going to turn, or it's going to be a Main and then Indian Lake there. So where the hash marks are at, we have some, where the black hash marks are at, we're going to open that up. So, there's going to be more queuing for your left turn onto Indian. So this is something that our staff in-house got approval through the state to do. So sometimes Main backs up and people are turning left onto Indian, it backs up and it stacks traffic back onto Main. So Sarah and her team did a good job with kind of coming up with this. That will happen after school lets out. We have another project that's going to be going on at the same time. This is Saunders Ferry. This is just south of Main Street. Like the top right corner is Lancoya. And if you can kind of look in your screen, we're going to be able to add a center turn lane here. So when you have to stop and turn left or right there, there's no center turn lane. So Public Works was able to design something, again, in-house, where it opens it up wide enough so that you can have a center turn lane at that location. So there will be some work going on, and that will happen after school lets out. I want to give a shout out to Cindy and Tyler. These are 2 of our finance folks who just got their CMFO. And I think is that 7? 7. So 7 of our finance staff have that CMFO certification, which is really something. And we just have a really solid team.
8 years ago, we had 1.
In finance. And then I want to have Casey come up, and she's going to talk about the Employee Appreciation Week that we just had.
Thanks, Jesse. So hopefully you guys saw all of our mini posts last week highlighting all the different departments and staff. We put a lot of time into getting interviews done and putting those videos out, and it was a lot of fun. So if you haven't had a chance to see those, please do, and please share so that we can get those around in the community a little bit more. I think it was really fun seeing from a variety of all of our different staff in the different departments. We were able to finish the celebratory week on Thursday with our version of Taco Tuesday, but it's better because it was Thursday. And all employees were invited to come out back by the pavilion and have lunch and kind of mingle. And it was really exciting to see all the departments kind of coming together and having a great lunch. It was great for morale. The weather was great. We were worried about rain, and it actually was beautiful. And so it was a really awesome opportunity that we were able to do that for employees last week. So we're really grateful for everyone. And HR was awesome to help get this plan for us so that we could do this for all employees. While I'm here, let me do this one too. So we have two big road closures coming. So starting tomorrow morning, NES, you guys may have heard or seen the leaning poles along near the sort of the greenway along Saunders Ferry Road. They will be replacing those tomorrow, and they are trying to work very efficiently and fast so that hopefully they're only working on those and having road impacts tomorrow. There is a chance it could be Thursday, but they have said they really hope to get it done tomorrow. The closure time will be from 8:30 in the morning until 2 p.m., and it's the section of Saunders Ferry Road from Spadeleaf Boulevard to Hickory Heights. And so there will be detours present and flaggers, and it should be pretty clear. We put something out on Facebook this evening. There'll be a code red text in the morning to let folks know. I know it's inconvenient, but those poles do need to be replaced, and so they're going to work on that tomorrow. And then the next big thing will be at Old Shackle will also be closed again for a couple days right there at Main Street while they do some more work on the project. So we will have that going out. TDOT has communications coming out about that. They've updated their website and sending out the newsletter. So we just want to help make sure we get that notice out to residents as much as we can because we know that will impact traffic flow around town.
Sure. Alderman Evans.
Casey, I'm sorry. Thank you. I noticed yesterday that Old Shackle Island was closed all day long, and I talked to Erin at TDOT today, and she said that it was because of Hendersonville Utilities was doing some work. How do we make sure that everyone is staying on schedule and that we know about these road closures? Because I had a lot of complaints about that yesterday.
Yeah, I can imagine. We had some too. That was something that we did not know about ourselves at the city until right as they were closing. There was somehow a breakdown in communication. I also spent some time on the phone with TDOT today, making phone calls. I know Public Works has as well, trying to figure out where that breakdown happened because it was not on TDOT's website. We didn't know, and so there was no advance notice about what that was going to look like. And even into today, because even though it was open for flow today, it wasn't all the way open, and Trace was over there doing what he could for us to help get that open as fast and as better so we could have two-way traffic. So yeah, that's obviously frustrating. I know these things happen sometimes with contractors, and somehow it just didn't get to us either. But we reiterated that today with our folks at TDOT and with the project that we want to know as much as we can. So that was very unfortunate, and we hate that happened.
Thank you, Alderman Evans.
Okay, another, you can take the slide down, Jason, that's all we need for the slide. We did get something else today that's not up there, which is this beautiful list of streets that we're gonna pave this year. So that, we just put that, Sarah put that in alphabetical list. On page 2, it shows the lane miles and the estimated cost of $6.5 million. So this is the paving list that we will be working off of. Again, that's just organized in alphabetical fashion. I did the announcements first, so I'm going to go through the BOMA report now. So if you look on page 132, you will see that revenue is up about 5.5% year on year, but it's down compared to March of last year. Both our local and our state share tax is down in March compared to last year, which is something that, we're probably going to continue to see, is that we're not having growth from the previous year. So it wasn't really great to see that sales tax was down. And the investment earnings for March were $142,000. It's good, but it's down $14,000 from where it was in March of 2024. On page 133, you'll see that the combination of local sales tax and permit revenue is up 6.76 from the previous year, and that year-to-date, the general fund operating expenses are up 5.3% from the previous year. Page 134 and 135, the PIP fund, it shows that both revenues and expenditures are closing in on budgeted estimates. Some of these expenditures are lagging, especially paving, but that's just due to the timing of the bills that we have or that we haven't received yet and when they get paid. But we expect most of those funds to be exhausted, and the ones that aren't exhausted will roll over to the next year. Page 136 calls for service. Really nothing out of the ordinary or no surprises here. And again, since PD started to count self-initiated stops in August, the call volume will appear to be higher until we start that overlap next August. Then page 137, this is the LPR contacts, and we've also included the heading to say LPR contacts and investigations. Beginning in February, Chief Jones, included one, when we make contact with a stolen vehicle, and two, when we use these in investigating reported crimes. So that's why you see the uptick for the last 2 months, because we're including not only when we use them for a stolen vehicle, but when they're used to investigate a crime. Page 138 and 139, you'll see residential and commercial permits issued, down from the previous year. No major deviations from the previous 2 years, but permits issued are down. Page 140, again, that is the parks events. You will see on there May 22nd through 31st, there is a spring carnival, and that'll be at Veterans Park, so that'll be kind of neat. And again, the Isaacs, their 5th annual Memorial Day concert, which is free on May 26th. And then page 142, you can see paving and stormwater projects are on schedule to be completed by the end of the fiscal year. And then obviously the good news about Public Works doing that project out on Main Street and on Saunders Ferry, which we already showed you. Page 143 and 144 show our active recruitments and the Employee Innovation Program. And that was it. The last I wanted to share was about our finance department with CMFO, but we went over that on the slideshow. That concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions.
Hold on just a second, Jesse. Alderman Collins.
If it is appropriate, if you would like to share any information about the stormwater issue that was spoken about during citizen comments,
Or
I believe on Lake Terrace, if it is not appropriate, that you don't want to speak negatively at this time, then I'll follow up with you tomorrow.
yeah, we also might get better information if we give them a day.
Sure, I was actually in my office talking to someone about stormwater comments, I think, when that comment was made, so I didn't hear it. I'll have to go back and listen to it, and I can respond back to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Alderman Evans. Thank you, Alderman Collins. Alderman Evans.
I'm sorry, real quick, Andy, the Hendersonville Spring Carnival and the Isaacs, do they do that at the same time? I don't recall that going on at the same time, at the same park. Is that new?
So the carnival last year was 4 days. This year it's 10 days. The day on Memorial Day of the Isaacs, the carnival every day doesn't start till 4 in the afternoon. So the Isaacs concert will end about 6. The carnival will start on that day, Memorial Day, after the Isaacs are done.
Okay.
Hopefully that will bring a new crowd to the Isaacs,
Yeah.
obviously.
That'll be crowded out there.
It's going to be crowded all week.
Yeah.
There will be people from all over Middle Tennessee coming to the carnival. Plus baseball and softball and everything.
I'm glad I'm not driving a golf cart this year.
Alderman Evans, thank you. Jesse, anything else? Alderman Dixon.
I make a motion to adjourn, Mayor.
We have a motion to adjourn. Alderman Garden, is that a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Y'all have a good night. Appreciate your help tonight.